Jordan Simmons can't ignore the piercing gaze of his denobulan classmate as he enters the xenobiology classroom at the Interstellar Academy on Denobula Prime. Rhea's eyes lock onto him, filled with undisguised desire. The 22-year-old human exchange student feels a mix of flattery and unease as he takes his seat, acutely aware of the alien girl's intense focus. Dr. Krell, the instructor, begins the class on comparative humanoid physiology. The air in the room feels charged with an electric tension as Jordan tries to concentrate on the lecture. His efforts are futile. He can't shake the weight of Rhea's stare or the growing discomfort in his body. For today's practical session, Dr. Krell announces, you will pair up for intimate physical examinations between species. The words send a jolt through Jordan's system. His heart races as he hears his name called out, paired with Rhea's. As they move to a private examination room, Jordan notices Rhea's visible trembling. It's not fear, he realizes, but excitement. The moment the door closes behind them, a wave of pheromones hits Jordan like a physical force. He stumbles, overwhelmed by the sudden intensity of his arousal. We should begin, Jordan says, voice strained as he fights against his baser instincts. Professionalism wars with primal urges as Rhea steps closer. Her touch on his skin is electric, lingering far longer than necessary for a medical examination. Jordan's breath catches as he observes Rhea's unique denobulan features up close. Her skin shimmers with an iridescent quality, catching the light in mesmerizing patterns. Through semi-transparent skull plates, he can see the outline of her three-lobed brain, an alien sight that's both fascinating and unsettling. As Jordan's gaze travels down Rhea's body, he notices a series of neural nodes along her spine, pulsing with an inner light. The alienness of her anatomy only heightens the surreal nature of the situation. Steeling himself, Jordan begins his reciprocal examination. The moment his fingers make contact with Rhea's skin, her body temperature spikes dramatically. Alarms blare in the exam room, their shrill tone cutting through the charged atmosphere. Dr. Krell bursts into the room, face set in a grim expression as he assesses the situation. It's a rare denobulan mating phenomenon, he explains quickly, eyes darting between monitors and Rhea's writhing form. Triggered by exposure to human pheromones. If we don't act fast, the elevated temperature could cause permanent damage to her three-lobed brain. Jordan's mind reels at the implications. What can we do? He asks, voice tight with concern. Dr. Krell's expression grows even more serious. There's only one way to save her. Immediate mating would stabilize her system. He pauses, the weight of his words hanging in the air. But the choice is yours, Jordan. This could have significant implications for human-denobulan relations and your academic future here at the Academy. As Jordan grapples with the monumental decision before him, Rhea's condition visibly worsens. Through her skull plates, he can see increased neural activity and dangerous swelling in her brain lobes. Time is running out, and the fate of this alien girl rests in his hands. With the stakes impossibly high and the clock ticking, Jordan must make a choice that will alter the course of his life and potentially shape the future of interspecies relations. The alien girl can't resist her human classmate, but can Jordan resist a call to save her life? Jordan's heart raced as he processed Dr. Krell's words. The gravity of the situation hit him like a physical force. Rhea's life hung in the balance, and he alone held the power to save her. With a deep breath, he made his decision. I'll do it, he said, his voice steadier than he felt. Dr. Krell nodded gravely. Quickly, follow me. They rushed Rhea, now trembling violently, into a nearby specialized xenobiology containment room. The stark white walls were lined with pulsing biomonitors and sleek medical equipment Jordan had never seen before. As the door hissed shut behind them, the room's advanced life support systems hummed to life. Place her on the examination table, Dr. Krell instructed, fingers flying over a control panel. Jordan gently laid Rhea down, her skin hot to the touch. Through her skull plates, He could see her brain lobes pulsing erratically. A holographic display materialized above them, showcasing a dizzying array of biodata. "Jordan, you must initiate physical contact now," Dr. Krell urged. "Her neural patterns are destabilizing rapidly." Swallowing hard, Jordan placed his hands on Rhea's shoulders. The moment their skin connected, a visible spark of bioluminescence rippled across her body. Jordan gasped, feeling an electric tingle course through his arms. "Excellent," Dr. Krell said, eyes fixed on the holographic readouts. "Her body is responding to your pheromones. The mating phenomenon is progressing as expected." As Jordan maintained contact, he watched in awe as Rhea's feverish glow began to subside. The pulsing of her brain lobes slowed, visible even through her semi-transparent skull plates. "The immediate danger is passing," Dr. Krell explained, "but we're far from finished. To fully stabilize her system, you must complete the entire denobulin mating ritual." Jordan's eyes widened. The entire ritual? How long will that take? Several hours, at least. It's a complex series of physical interactions designed to synchronize your neural patterns and hormonal levels. Before Jordan could respond, a deafening alarm blared through the academy. The room's lights flickered ominously as a computerized voice echoed through the facility. "Warning. Level 1 security breach. Zorgan invasion in progress. This is not a drill. All personnel report to emergency stations immediately." Dr. Krell's face paled. "Zorgans?" "Here. This is catastrophic." The room shuddered as a distant explosion rocked the academy. The holographic display flickered and distorted. "The station's power grid is destabilizing," Dr. Krell said, his fingers flying over the control panel. "The life support systems in this room are failing." Jordan felt panic rising in his chest. "What do we do?" Dr. Krell's expression hardened with purpose. "You must continue the ritual. It's Rhea's only chance of survival now." He pressed a small, pulsing device into Jordan's hand. "This is a portable neural stabilizer. Use it to monitor and adjust Rhea's neural activity manually." "But I don't know how." "You must learn quickly," Dr. Krell interrupted. "I have to go assist with the Academy's defense. I'm sealing you both in here for your protection." As the door began to close, Dr. Krell's final words reached Jordan. "Remember, constant physical contact is crucial. And pay attention to the markings on her skin. They're the key to completing the ritual." The door sealed with a hiss, leaving Jordan alone with Rhea in the dimly lit room. The sounds of battle filtered through the walls as Jordan looked down at the alien girl before him. Strange, glowing symbols were starting to appear on her iridescent skin. Taking a deep breath, Jordan activated the neural stabilizer. A holographic interface sprang to life, displaying a complex web of neural pathways. As he watched, sections of the display began to pulse an alarming red. "Okay," he muttered to himself, "I can do this." Jordan placed one hand on Rhea's arm, maintaining the crucial physical contact, while using his other hand to manipulate the stabilizer's controls. As he adjusted the settings, he saw the red areas of the neural map slowly shift towards a calmer blue. Rhea stirred, her eyes fluttering open. "Jordan," she whispered, her voice weak but filled with relief. "I'm here," he reassured her. "We're going to get through this together." As Jordan continued the intricate mating ritual, he noticed the symbols on Rhea's skin reacting to his touch. They shifted and changed, forming patterns he didn't understand but somehow felt were significant. A violent tremor shook the room, and the lights flickered ominously. The battle was getting closer. Jordan knew he had to decipher the meaning of these alien glyphs quickly. They seemed to be the key to completing the ritual and saving Rhea's life. With the neural stabilizer in one hand and the other tracing the glowing symbols on Rhea's skin, Jordan raced against time. The fate of the alien girl before him, and perhaps even the outcome of the Zorgan invasion, now rested on his ability to unlock the secrets of this ancient denobulan ritual. As another explosion rocked the academy, Jordan focused all his concentration on the task at hand. The symbols beneath his fingers pulsed with an otherworldly light, and he felt as if he were on the verge of a breakthrough. But with the sounds of battle drawing ever nearer, the question remained, would he be able to complete the ritual in time? As Jordan focused on the pulsing symbols beneath his fingers, a violent tremor shook the room, nearly throwing him off balance. The lights flickered ominously, and a sudden hiss of escaping air caught his attention. The life support systems were failing. "No, no, no," Jordan muttered, his eyes darting around the dimly lit containment room. The temperature began to fluctuate wildly, first dropping to a bone-chilling cold, then spiking to an uncomfortable heat. He could feel the air thinning, each breath becoming more labored. Despite the deteriorating conditions, Jordan kept his focus on Rhea. The glowing symbols on her skin seemed to dance under his touch, responding to the intricate patterns he traced. He could sense he was on the verge of a breakthrough, the meaning of the alien glyphs just beyond his grasp. Another tremor rocked the room, more violent than the last. Jordan lost his footing, his hand slipping from Rhea's skin. In that moment of lost contact, her body convulsed, the delicate balance they'd achieved instantly shattered. "Rhea," Jordan called out, reaching for her. But as he moved, the portable neural stabilizer slipped from his grasp. The device skittered across the floor, coming to rest in a small crevice near the wall. Jordan froze, caught in an impossible dilemma. Every second without physical contact worsened Rhea's condition, her skin losing its healthy glow, her breathing becoming erratic. But without the neural stabilizer, he had no way to monitor and adjust her neural activity. Making a split-second decision, Jordan carefully disengaged from Rhea and scrambled towards the fallen device. As he stretched his arm into the crevice, fingers straining to reach the stabilizer, a deafening crack filled the air. Jordan looked up just in time to see a section of the ceiling give way. He rolled to the side, narrowly avoiding being crushed by the falling debris. As the dust settled, Jordan's eyes widened. The collapsed ceiling had revealed a hidden compartment, its contents spilling onto the floor, emergency supplies, and an old model communication device. Wasting no time, Jordan snatched up the neural stabilizer and rushed back to Rhea. The moment he reestablished physical contact, her body relaxed, the dangerous spasm subsiding. But Jordan knew the interrupted ritual had set them back significantly. With one hand maintaining contact with Rhea, Jordan used the other to activate the communication device. Static filled the air, punctuated by bursts of panicked voices and the distant sounds of battle. He adjusted the frequency, searching for a clear signal. Zorgan attack. Multiple planets. Sector-wide invasion. The fragmented information came through in bursts, painting a grim picture. The Academy's defenses were holding, but barely. Jordan's breath caught as he heard a familiar voice cutting through the static. "Dr. Krell. Main laboratory. Bioweapon. Need more time." The pieces clicked into place in Jordan's mind. Dr. Krell and the other faculty members were working on a potential solution to repel the Zorgans, but they were trapped and running out of time. Jordan looked down at Rhea, her alien features softened by the dim emergency lighting. An idea began to form, a risky move born of scientific theory and pure intuition. He remembered reading about the unique biochemical properties of denobulan physiology, especially when synchronized with a compatible species. "That's it," Jordan whispered, his free hand moving to the neural stabilizer's controls. "We're not just saving you, Rhea. We might be saving everyone." With restored dedication, Jordan refocused on the mating ritual. He used the stabilizer to fine-tune his interactions, carefully tracing the pulsing symbols on Rhea's skin. As he worked, He began to notice correlations between the glyphs and specific neural pathways in Rhea's three-lobe brain. The room shuddered around them, the sounds of battle growing closer. Cracks spider-webbed across the walls, and warning lights flashed an angry red. The containment room's structural integrity was failing. Jordan's mind raced, divided between the intricate ritual and their increasingly perilous situation. His eyes darted to the pile of emergency supplies revealed by the fallen ceiling panel. An idea struck him, risky but necessary. Working quickly, Jordan began constructing a makeshift protective cocoon around himself and Rhea. He used insulating materials to shield them from the wild temperature fluctuations and energy-absorbing fabrics to protect against potential debris. As he completed the improvised shelter, Jordan noticed a change in Rhea. The symbols on her skin began to pulse in perfect synchronization with his own heartbeat. A soft, ethereal glow enveloped them both, bathing their protective cocoon in alien light. "We're close," Jordan murmured, recognizing they'd reached a critical juncture in the ritual. Just a little more. The final stage of the denobulin mating process required perfect synchronization between their bodies and minds. Jordan closed his eyes, focusing all his concentration on the connection between them. He could feel Rhea's alien physiology, responding to his own, their neural patterns aligning in ways he couldn't fully comprehend, but instinctively understood. Outside their protective bubble, the battle raged on. The containment room groaned under the stress of repeated impacts, its defenses weakening with each passing moment. But within the cocoon, Jordan and Rhea were locked in a dance of alien biology and human commitment. As Jordan navigated the final, most complex stage of the ritual, he knew that success meant more than just Rhea's survival. The unique biochemical compounds produced by their synchronized physiology could be the key Dr. Krell needed to complete the bioweapon and save the Academy. With time running out and the fate of 2 individuals and possibly an entire planet hanging in the balance, Jordan pushed forward. The glowing symbols on Rhea's skin pulsed with increasing intensity, guiding him through the last steps of this extraordinary alien mating process. Ritual. As Jordan's fingers traced the final intricate patterns on Rhea's luminescent skin, a surge of energy pulsed through them both. The symbols beneath his touch flared with an intense blue-green light, filling their makeshift cocoon with a pulsating glow. Rhea's eyes snapped open, meeting Jordan's gaze with a newfound clarity. "We're close," she whispered, her voice stronger than before. Jordan nodded, maintaining his focus on the complex neural map displayed on her skin. He could feel their physiologies synchronizing, their heartbeats aligning in perfect harmony. The air around them seemed to crackle with unseen energy. Suddenly, a deafening crack split the air. The walls of the containment room buckled and gave way with a thunderous roar. Jordan instinctively tightened his grip on Rhea, bracing for impact. But the expected collision never came. As the dust settled, Jordan realized their protective cocoon was intact, shielding them from the debris. More surprisingly, they were floating, suspended in the middle of what had once been the containment room. The artificial gravity had failed, leaving them in a weightless environment. "The station systems are failing," Rhea observed, her eyes wide as she took in their surroundings. Jordan's mind raced, adapting to this new challenge. He carefully maneuvered within the confines of their protective bubble, ensuring they remained tethered to the life-saving equipment. "We need to finish the ritual," he said, refocusing on the pulsing symbols on Rhea's skin. As Jordan resumed tracing the patterns, he noticed something extraordinary. Crystalline structures were forming within their cocoon, glowing with the same bioluminescence as their bodies. The crystals seemed to be absorbing and amplifying the unique biochemical compounds produced by their synchronized physiologies. "Rhea, look at this," Jordan said, carefully reaching out to touch one of the crystals. It pulsed in response, its glow intensifying. These might be the key to stopping the Zorgans. With practiced precision, Jordan collected samples of the crystals, storing them in a small container from the emergency supplies. All the while, he maintained physical contact with Rhea, guiding them through the final stages of the mating ritual. Their combined bioluminescence grew stronger, creating a beacon amidst the destruction. Through a gap in the debris, Jordan spotted movement. A group of figures in environmental suits were fighting their way towards them, battling Zorgan invaders as they advanced. As the group drew closer, Jordan recognized the lead figure as Vexcal, a senior Denobulan student renowned for his expertise in xenobiology. Vexcal's team cleared a path through the wreckage, creating a safe corridor to Jordan and Rhea's position. Jordan, Rhea. Vexcal's voice crackled through the comm system of his suit. "We've been searching for survivors. What's your status?" Jordan quickly explained their situation, detailing the mating ritual and the formation of the crystalline compounds. Vexcal's eyes widened behind his faceplate. "You're in the final stage," he said, his voice filled with awe. "I can guide you through it. These compounds could be exactly what Dr. Krell needs for the bioweapon." Under Vexcal's expert guidance, Jordan navigated the last, most intricate steps of the ritual. He felt a surge of energy flow between himself and Rhea, their neural patterns aligning with perfect synchronicity. The crystals around them pulsed with increasing intensity, absorbing the unique biochemical reaction. With a final, brilliant flash of light, the ritual concluded. Rhea took a deep, steadying breath, her skin returning to its normal hue. "It's done," she said, her voice strong and clear. Vexcal and his team quickly outfitted Jordan and Rhea with emergency spacesuits. As they emerged from the protective cocoon, Jordan clutched a container of crystallized compounds, acutely aware of its potential importance. "We need to get these to Dr. Krell in the main laboratory," Jordan said, securing the container to his suit. Vexcal nodded grimly. "The way won't be easy. The station is overrun with Zorgans, and most systems have failed." As if to emphasize his point, the debris around them shifted ominously. The team began to move, navigating through the destroyed corridors of the Academy. Jordan stayed close to Rhea, noticing with surprise that she moved with unexpected grace and strength in the zero-gravity environment. Their progress was swift but cautious, with Vexcal's team forming a protective perimeter around Jordan and Rhea. As they approached the junction, a harsh screech filled the air. A squad of Zorgan soldiers rounded the corner, their alien weapons trained on the group. Without hesitation, Rhea sprang into action. She launched herself off a piece of floating debris, using the momentum to close the distance to the nearest Zorgan. Her movements were fluid and precise, as if she had been fighting in zero gravity her entire life. Jordan found himself moving in perfect synchronization with Rhea, their actions complementing each other seamlessly. He deflected a Zorgan's attack, creating an opening for Rhea to strike. Together, they formed a formidable duo, their newly forged connection allowing them to anticipate and respond to each other's moves instinctively. Vexcal and his team joined the fray, their coordinated efforts quickly overpowering the Zorgan squad. As the last invader fell, an alarm blared throughout the station, its urgent tone cutting through the chaos. The Academy's AI spoke, its usually calm voice tinged with urgency. "Warning, Zorgan forces have initiated a power core overload. Catastrophic explosion imminent if not prevented. All personnel evacuate immediately." Jordan exchanged a look with Rhea, both understanding the gravity of the situation. They had to reach Dr. Krell, deliver the biochemical compound, and find a way to stop the power core overload, all before the station was destroyed. "We're running out of time," Vexcal said, his voice tight with tension. "The main laboratory is just ahead, but we'll likely encounter heavy resistance." Jordan gripped the container of crystallized compounds tightly, feeling the weight of their mission. "Then we'll face it together," he said, glancing at Rhea. She nodded, a determined gleam in her eyes. As they prepared to make their final push towards the main laboratory, Jordan could feel the station trembling around them. The power core's instability was growing, adding urgency to their already desperate situation. With the fate of the Academy and potentially the entire sector hanging in the balance, Jordan, Rhea, and their allies steeled themselves for the challenges that lay ahead. With a shared nod of drive, Jordan and Rhea led the charge towards the main laboratory. The journey through the station's chaos was harrowing. Debris floated in zero gravity, creating a treacherous obstacle course. Zorgan patrols lurked around every corner, forcing the team to alternate between stealthy maneuvers and intense firefights. As they approached the laboratory, a massive blast door loomed before them. Vexcal stepped forward, his fingers flying over the security panel. "My clearance should get us in," he said, his voice tense. The door groaned, slowly sliding open to reveal the fortified interior of the main laboratory. Dr. Krell and a group of scientists huddled around a central workstation, their faces etched with worry and concentration. Jordan wasted no time. He pushed off from the doorframe, propelling himself towards Dr. Krell. "Doctor, we have something that might help," he said, presenting the container of crystallized compounds. Dr. Krell's eyes widened as he examined the glowing crystals. "Extraordinary," he breathed. "These compounds. They could be the missing piece we need." As Dr. Krell integrated the new material into his work, an alarm blared through the laboratory. Rhea's head snapped towards the security monitors. "Zorgans," she hissed. "They've found us." Jordan felt a surge of energy course through him, his senses sharpening. He locked eyes with Rhea, seeing the same alertness reflected there. Without a word, they moved in perfect synchronization, organizing the lab's defenses. "You three, guard the east entrance," Jordan directed a group of security personnel. "Rhea and I will take the main door." Rhea was already distributing makeshift weapons to the scientists. "Remember," she instructed, "aim for their sensory clusters. It's their weak point." The first wave of Zorgans hit like a thunderstorm. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air as the alien invaders breached the outer defenses. Jordan and Rhea moved as one, their actions flowing seamlessly from defense to offense. Jordan ducked under a Zorgan swing, creating an opening for Rhea to strike. She moved within human speed, her fist connecting with the alien sensory cluster. The Zorgan dropped, and they were already moving to the next threat. As the battle raged, Jordan noticed something strange. Rhea's movements were becoming faster, more precise. She leapt impossible distances, her strength clearly beyond human norms. Their shared bioluminescence pulsed with each synchronized action, growing brighter as the fight intensified. "Jordan, Rhea," Dr. Krell's voice cut through the chaos. "I've had a breakthrough, but I need more time. 10 minutes to synthesize enough of the compound to repel the entire invasion force." Jordan glanced at Rhea, both understanding the gravity of the situation. They needed to buy time, but the Zorgans were relentless. Vexcal's voice crackled over the comms. "The experimental force field generators. We can use them to create a temporary barrier." Without hesitation, Jordan and Rhea sprang into action. They navigated through the laboratory, dodging plasma bolts and grappling Zorgans as they activated the generators. With a final push, they positioned the last generator. A shimmering barrier sprang to life, pushing back the Zorgan advance. For a moment, silence fell over the laboratory. In that instant of quiet, Jordan felt a sudden, intense connection with Rhea. Their bioluminescence flared, pulsing in perfect unison. The air between them seemed to crackle with energy. Dr. Krell's eyes widened as he observed the phenomenon. "Your bond," he said, his voice filled with awe. "It might be the key to enhancing the bioweapon's effectiveness." As the Zorgans renewed their assault on the force field, Jordan and Rhea volunteered for a rapid series of tests. Dr. Krell worked feverishly, analyzing their synchronized biochemistry. "Incredible," he muttered. The compound your bodies are producing. It's even more potent than the original crystals. The force field flickered ominously as Dr. Krell incorporated the new element into the bioweapon. Just as the barrier began to fail, he let out a triumphant shout. It's done! But their victory was short-lived. The delivery system sparked and sputtered, damaged in the chaos of the invasion. The compound must be manually released throughout the station, Dr. Krell said, his face grim. Jordan and Rhea exchanged a look, their bioluminescence pulsing in sync. They knew what had to be done. We'll do it, Jordan said, his voice firm. As Dr. Krell outfitted them with protective suits and the bioweapon canister, Vexcal approached with grim news. The station's power core is still set to overload. We're running out of time. Jordan felt the weight of their dual mission settle on his shoulders. They had to distribute the bioweapon and stop the core from exploding, all while navigating a station overrun with Zorgans. He looked at Rhea, saw the willpower in her eyes that matched his own. Their bioluminescence flared once more, a silent communication passing between them. With a nod to their allies, Jordan and Rhea stepped out into the war-torn corridors of the Interstellar Academy. The fate of everyone on board now rested in their hands, guided by the unique bond forged in the crucible of the denobulan mating ritual. As they moved through the chaotic hallways, Jordan couldn't help but marvel at how in sync he and Rhea had become. Every movement, every decision seemed to flow between them without need for words. They navigated the debris-filled corridors with practiced ease, their enhanced physiology allowing them to move swiftly and silently. The first Zorgan patrol they encountered barely had time to react before Jordan and Rhea were upon them. Jordan ducked low, providing a distraction while Rhea leapt over him, her feet connecting squarely with the lead Zorgan's chest. As the alien stumbled back, Jordan spun, using the momentum to deliver a powerful strike to another Zorgan sensory cluster. Their movements were a deadly dance, each action flowing seamlessly into the next. As they dispatched the last of the patrol, Jordan noticed their bioluminescence had intensified, pulsing with a fierce, determined rhythm. We need to find a central air circulation system, Rhea said, her eyes scanning their surroundings. It's the most efficient way to distribute the bioweapon. Jordan nodded, pulling up a holographic map of the station on his suit's display. There, he pointed, 2 levels down. It's near the power core too. As they made their way towards their objective, the station shuddered violently. Warning klaxons blared, their urgent tone cutting through the chaos. The power core, Jordan said grimly. We're running out of time. They quickened their pace, their synchronized movements allowing them to navigate the increasingly unstable environment with surprising agility. As they descended to the lower levels, the damage to the station became more severe. Entire sections were exposed to the vacuum of space, protected only by emergency force fields that flickered ominously. Rounding a corner, they came face to face with a squad of Zorgans guarding the entrance to the environmental control room. Without missing a beat, Jordan and Rhea launched into action. Their earlier skirmishes had been mere warm-ups compared to this. Jordan rolled under a plasma bolt, coming up in perfect position for Rhea to use his shoulders as a springboard. She soared over the Zorgan line, landing behind them and immediately engaging the rear guards. Jordan pressed the attack from the front, his movements perfectly complementing Rhea's. As the last Zorgan fell, Jordan and Rhea stood back to back, their chests heaving with exertion. Their bioluminescence pulsed brightly, casting an otherworldly glow in the dim corridor. Ready? Jordan asked, his hand on the door control. Rhea nodded, her grip tightening on the bioweapon canister. Let's finish this. The environmental control room was a maze of pipes and control panels. Jordan quickly located the main air circulation system, while Rhea secured the perimeter. Here, Jordan called, indicating a large intake vent. This will distribute the compound throughout the station. As Rhea began to set up the canister, Jordan's attention was drawn to a flashing red warning on a nearby console. His heart sank as he read the display. "The power core," he said, his voice tight. "It's reaching critical levels. We have minutes at most before it goes critical." Ria's eyes met his, a silent understanding passing between them. They had come too far to fail now. "I'll finish here," Ria said, gesturing to the bioweapon. "You start on the power core. We'll meet in the middle." Jordan nodded, squeezing Ria's hand briefly before darting towards the adjacent room, housing the power core controls. As he worked to stabilize the rapidly deteriorating systems, he could feel Ria's presence in his mind, their connection stronger than ever. The bioweapon hissed as it began to disperse through the station's air system. At the same moment, Jordan managed to initiate an emergency shutdown sequence for the power core. But as warnings continued to flash across the screen, he realized with growing dread that the shutdown wouldn't complete in time. "Ria," he called, his voice urgent. "We need to manually vent the core's excess energy." She was by his side in an instant, their bioluminescence flaring brightly as they worked in perfect tandem. Their hands flew over the controls, rerouting power and preparing for the dangerous procedure. "On my mark," Jordan said, his finger hovering over the final command. 3, 2, 1. Now. They hit the controls simultaneously. The station groaned as massive vents opened, expelling the volatile energy into space. Jordan and Ria held their breath, watching the core's energy levels fluctuate wildly before finally beginning to stabilize. As the immediate danger passed, they became aware of a change in the air around them. The bioweapon was taking effect, its invisible tendrils spreading throughout the station. Jordan and Ria shared a look of cautious hope. They had completed their mission, but the battle was not nearly finished. The Zorgans were still a threat, and the station had sustained heavy damage. As if in response to their thoughts, the station's comm system crackled to life. Dr. Krell's voice came through, strained but triumphant. "Jordan, Ria, do you read? The bioweapon is working. The Zorgans are retreating." A wave of relief washed over them, but Jordan knew they couldn't relax yet. The station was still in critical condition, and there was much work to be done. "We read you, Doctor," Jordan replied. "The power core is stable for now, but we need to begin emergency repairs immediately." As Jordan and Ria prepared to face the challenges ahead, their bioluminescence pulsed once more, a testament to the unique bond that had seen them through this crisis. Whatever came next, they would face it together, their connection a beacon of hope in the vastness of space. As Jordan and Ria prepared to face the challenges ahead, their bioluminescence pulsed once more, a testament to the unique bond that had seen them through this crisis. They exchanged a determined look, knowing their work was a long way to go. "We need to secure the rest of the station," Jordan said, his eyes scanning the various displays in the control room. Ria nodded, already moving towards a door. "Let's start with the main corridors and work our way out." As they stepped into the hallway, their heightened senses immediately picked up on the subtle changes in the air. The bioweapons effects were becoming more apparent with each passing moment. Unconscious Zorgans lay scattered throughout the corridors, their bodies twitching as the compound worked its way through their systems. Jordan and Ria moved with fluid precision, their steps perfectly in sync as they navigated the debris-strewn passageways. Their bioluminescence seemed to pulse with a life of its own, casting an ethereal glow that danced along the walls. As they rounded a corner, they came face to face with a group of terrified students, both human and alien, huddled behind an overturned table. "It's okay," Ria called out, her voice calm and reassuring. "We're here to help." A young Andorian peeked out from behind the makeshift barricade, his antennae twitching nervously. "Are the Zorgans gone?" Jordan stepped forward, offering a hand to help the students up. "Not entirely, but we've neutralized most of them. We need to get you to safety." As the group emerged from their hiding place, Jordan felt a surge of energy course through his body. Without thinking, he reached out and effortlessly lifted a heavy piece of debris blocking their path. Rhea's eyes widened in surprise, mirroring Jordan's own astonishment at his newfound strength. "The bond," she whispered, her bioluminescence flaring brightly. "It's enhancing our abilities." There was no time to dwell on this development. With the group of students in tow, Jordan and Rhea made their way towards the nearest emergency shelter. As they moved, Jordan found himself reacting to threats before they even appeared, his reflexes operating on a level he'd never experienced before. Upon reaching the shelter, they were greeted by a harried-looking human woman with piercing green eyes and disheveled gray hair. Dr. Lara Voss. She introduced herself briskly, ushering the students inside. "Xenobiologist, and you too." Her gaze lingered on Jordan and Rhea's glowing skin. "You're the ones responsible for driving back the Zorgans, aren't you?" Jordan nodded, suddenly aware of the weight of the responsibility they carried. "We are, but our mission isn't complete. We still need to distribute more of the bioweapon and stabilize the power core." Dr. Voss's eyes lit up with interest. "The power core? I might be able to help with that. My lab has some specialized equipment that could be useful." Rhea glanced at Jordan, a silent communication passing between them. "We'd appreciate any help we can get, Doctor." "Excellent," Dr. Voss said, already moving towards a nearby corridor. "Follow me." As they made their way to Dr. Voss's lab, Jordan and Rhea filled her in on the details of their mission. The xenobiologist listened intently, her keen mind already formulating plans. "Based on what you've told me," she said as they entered her lab, "I think we should split up. Jordan, you and I will head to the power core. Rhea, with your enhanced denobulant abilities, you're best suited to continue distributing the bioweapon." Jordan felt a momentary pang at the thought of separating from Rhea, but he knew Dr. Voss was right. They needed to cover more ground, and quickly. Rhea seemed to sense his unease. She reached out, touching his arm gently. As their skin made contact, their bioluminescence flared brightly, and Jordan felt a wave of reassurance wash over him. "I'll be fine," Rhea said softly. "We both will." With a nod of willpower, Rhea took the remaining canisters of the bioweapon and set off, her movements a blur of speed and grace. Jordan turned to Dr. Voss, who was hastily gathering equipment. "What's the plan for the power core?" "We'll need to reroute the main power conduits," she explained, handing Jordan a device that looked like a cross between a tricorder and a plasma torch. "This should help us stabilize the core's energy output." As they made their way towards the power core, Jordan's enhanced senses picked up on the approaching danger before it became visible. He pulled Dr. Voss behind a fallen support beam, just as a group of Zorgans rounded the corner, their weapons at the ready. Jordan's body moved on instinct, years of training amplified by his new abilities. He launched himself at the Zorgans, his movements a fluid blur of strikes and dodges. Dr. Voss watched in amazement as Jordan single-handedly incapacitated the entire group in a matter of seconds. "Remarkable," she breathed as Jordan returned to her side, barely winded. "The physiological changes you're experiencing. They're unprecedented." They pressed on, finally reaching the power core control room. The scene that greeted them was one of chaos. Sparking consoles, flashing warning lights, and the ominous hum of a system on the brink of collapse. As Jordan approached the main control panel, something unexpected happened. His bioluminescence intensified, seeming to reach out towards the pulsing energy of the core. As his glowing hand made contact with the panel, the erratic energy patterns began to stabilize. Dr. Voss gasped, her scientific mind racing to understand what she was witnessing. "It's as if your bioluminescence is creating a stabilizing field," she said, quickly adjusting her equipment to take readings. "Keep doing what you're doing. I'll work on rerouting the power." Jordan stood there, one hand on the control panel, feeling the raw energy of the core flowing through him. He could sense Rhea's presence in his mind, knowing instinctively that she was successfully completing her part of the mission. Just as Dr. Voss finished her adjustments, Rhea burst into the room, her arrival amplifying the stabilizing effect Jordan was having on the core. The three of them watched in awe as the power readings settled into normal parameters. Their moment of triumph was short-lived, however, as the station-wide communication system crackled to life with an urgent message from Dr. Krell. "The bioweapon is working," his voice came through, tinged with both relief and new concern. "But we have a bigger problem. A Zorgan command ship has just entered the system. They're preparing to destroy the entire station from orbit." Jordan, Rhea, and Dr. Voss exchanged grim looks. They had overcome one threat, only to face an even greater one. As alarms began to blare throughout the station, they knew they had precious little time to find a way to defend the Interstellar Academy from total annihilation. Dr. Voss's eyes darted between Jordan and Rhea, then to the now stable power core. "The energy interaction we've just witnessed," she said, her voice rising with excitement despite the dire situation. "If we can harness it, amplify it, we might just have a chance against that command ship." As the distant rumble of the approaching Zorgan vessel reached their ears, Jordan and Rhea shared a determined look. Whatever came next, they would face it together, their unique bond now the key to the station's survival. The gravity of their situation settled upon them like a heavy mantle, but there was no time for hesitation. "We need to get back to my lab immediately," Dr. Voss said, her voice filled with urgency. "I have equipment there that might help us harness this energy you two are producing." Without wasting another moment, the trio sprinted through the corridors of the station, their footsteps echoing in the eerie quiet left in the wake of the Zorgan attack. As they ran, Jordan and Rhea's bioluminescence pulsed brightly, casting dancing shadows on the walls. Upon reaching the lab, Dr. Voss immediately began setting up an array of complex devices. "Stand here," she instructed, pointing to a circular platform in the center of the room. Jordan and Rhea stepped onto the platform, their hands instinctively finding each other. As their fingers intertwined, a surge of energy coursed through them, causing their bioluminescence to flare brilliantly. Dr. Voss's eyes widened as she observed the readings on her monitors. "Fascinating," she muttered, adjusting dials and typing furiously on her console. "The energy output when you're in close proximity is off the charts." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the lab as one of the devices overloaded, sending sparks flying. Jordan instinctively pulled Rhea closer, shielding her from the shower of sparks. "Are you all right?" he asked, his voice filled with concern. Rhea nodded, her eyes fixed on the damaged equipment. "What happened?" Dr. Voss was already examining the device, her expression a mixture of frustration and excitement. "The surge overloaded the capacitors, but look at this." She pointed to a holographic display showing a complex web of energy patterns. "Your energy. It's exhibiting quantum entanglement properties. This could be the key to our defense system." As Dr. Voss explained her theory about creating a station-wide shield using their unique energy, Jordan and Rhea exchanged a determined look. They knew what they had to do. "We'll place the nodes," Jordan said, his voice firm. "Just tell us where they need to go." Dr. Voss nodded, quickly programming a series of small, disc-like devices. "These are the energy nodes. They need to be placed at these specific points throughout the station." She handed them each a map with marked locations. As Jordan and Rhea prepared to leave, the station shook violently. Alarms blared as the automated system announced, "Warning, multiple Zorgan vessels detected. Initiating emergency protocols." "Go!" Dr. Voss shouted over the din. "I'll work on the central control mechanism here. We don't have much time." Jordan and Rhea sprinted from the lab, each clutching a bag of energy nodes. They split up at the first junction, their enhanced abilities allowing them to move with incredible speed and agility. As Jordan rounded a corner, he found himself face to face with a group of Zorgan stragglers. Without breaking stride, he vaulted over their heads, his body moving with fluid grace. He planted 2 nodes as he landed, the devices activating with a soft blue glow. On the other side of the station, Rhea encountered her own challenges. A damaged section of the corridor forced her to find an alternate route. Using her denobulan flexibility, she squeezed through a narrow maintenance shaft, emerging just in time to place a node before a group of panicked students. "Stay calm and head to the nearest shelter," she instructed them, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. As they placed more nodes, Jordan and Rhea felt their connection intensifying. Each activated node seemed to resonate with their energy, creating a web-like pattern that they could sense but not see. In Dr. Voss's lab, the xenobiologist worked feverishly to modify the station's main communication array. Sweat beaded on her brow as she rerouted power conduits and reprogrammed the system to channel the quantum-entangled energy. Jordan and Rhea converged on the power core, having placed the final nodes. As they approached the central energy column, they could feel the cumulative effect of all the nodes they had activated. "Are you ready?" Jordan asked, his eyes meeting Rhea's. She nodded, a small smile playing on her lips despite the gravity of the situation. Together, they each placed a hand on the energy column. The moment they made contact, a surge of power unlike anything they had experienced before coursed through them. Their bioluminescence erupted in a dazzling display, energy arcing between them and the power core. Throughout the station, the placed nodes began to pulse in sync with Jordan and Rhea's energy. Dr. Voss watched in awe as her monitors showed the shield forming, a shimmering barrier enveloping the entire interstellar academy. Just as the shield solidified, the first wave of Zorgan attack ships reached the station. Their weapons' fire splashed harmlessly against the iridescent barrier, the energy dissipating in ripples of light. But the victory was bittersweet. In the power core, Jordan and Rhea found themselves unable to break away from the energy column. Their bodies had become living conduits, channeling massive amounts of energy to maintain the shield. "Dr. Voss," Jordan managed to say through gritted teeth, his voice strained. We can't let go." Over the communication system, Dr. Voss's voice rang out, filled with both triumph and concern. "The shield is holding, but we need to find a way to stabilize it without you two. Hang on, I'm working on a solution." As the Zorgan command ship moved into position for a more powerful assault, Jordan and Rhea clung to each other and the power core. They could feel their strength waning, the enormous energy flow taking its toll on their bodies. In her lab, Dr. Voss worked frantically, her mind racing to find a way to artificially replicate the quantum entanglement effect. She knew that the lives of Jordan, Rhea, and everyone on the station depended on her ability to solve this problem. The Zorgan ships regrouped, preparing for another attack. The shield held strong, but for how long? As the next phase of the battle began, the fate of the Interstellar Academy hung in the balance, with Jordan and Rhea at the very heart of its defense. The strain on Jordan and Rhea intensified, their bodies trembling with the effort of maintaining the shield. Just as it seemed they might falter, a massive energy pulse from the Zorgan command ship struck the barrier. The impact sent shockwaves through the entire station. Jordan and Rhea cried out in unison, their backs arching as the energy surge coursed through them. The shield fluctuated wildly, its iridescent surface rippling like disturbed water. "Hold on!" Dr. Voss shouted through the communication system, her voice barely audible over the alarms and the deafening hum of the power core. As Jordan and Rhea struggled to maintain their grip on the energy column, something unexpected occurred. Their bioluminescence, already brilliant, intensified to an almost blinding level. The air around them crackled with a new type of energy, a radiation previously unseen. Dr. Voss's eyes widened as she observed the readings on her monitors. Incredible, she breathed, her fingers flying over the controls. The Zorgon attack has catalyzed a new development in your bond. The radiation emanating from Jordan and Rhea interacted with the shield, strengthening it beyond its original capacity. The fluctuations began to stabilize, the barrier becoming more solid and resilient. Seizing the opportunity, Dr. Voss quickly modified her equipment. "I'm going to channel and focus this new radiation," she explained, her voice tight with concentration. "It might be our best chance to repel the Zorgons." With a few final adjustments, Dr. Voss activated a series of resonance chambers throughout the station. Each chamber was designed to amplify and redistribute the energy from Jordan and Rhea's bond. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The shield expanded, pushing outward against the Zorgon forces. Several smaller attack ships were knocked back, their weapons fire dissipating harmlessly against the reinforced barrier. However, the increased energy flow took a severe toll on Jordan and Rhea. Their vital signs became erratic, neural activity spiking to dangerous levels. "Dr. Voss," Jordan gasped, his voice strained, We can't hold on much longer." Rhea's grip on the energy column tightened, her squeezing hard with the effort. "It's too much," she added, her words barely above a whisper. Dr. Voss's heart raced as she analyzed their biosigns. If this continued, the energy could cause permanent damage or worse. She needed to act fast. "I'm implementing an experimental procedure," she announced, her fingers dancing across the control panel. "It's risky, but it might save you both and maintain the shield." Before Jordan or Rhea could respond, Dr. Voss activated the station's medical transporters. A shimmering field enveloped the pair, their forms becoming translucent. "What's happening?" Jordan called out, his voice echoing strangely. Dr. Voss took a deep breath. "I'm molecularly bonding you, temporarily merging your physical forms to stabilize your life signs and allow for more efficient energy transfer." The air around Jordan and Rhea seemed to ripple and distort. Their separate forms blurred, melding into a single entity. Where two individuals once stood, now there was one, a being that was neither fully Jordan nor fully Rhea, but a perfect fusion of both. The merged Jordan-Rhea entity opened its eyes, blinking in momentary confusion. Then, with a surge of understanding, it exerted its will upon the shield. The energy field responded instantly, bending and shaping with unprecedented precision. Through the station's viewports, Dr. Voss watched in awe as localized weaknesses appeared in the shield, allowing friendly ships to enter while repelling Zorgon attacks. The merged entity manipulated the energy with the finesse of a master artisan, creating a defense that was both impenetrable and dynamic. As the battle raged on, the Jordan-Rhea fusion became aware of something beyond the immediate conflict. Its enhanced perception detected a critical weakness in the Zorgon command ship, a vulnerable point in its energy systems. Without hesitation, the entity directed a focused beam of its unique energy at the weak spot. The beam lanced through space, bypassing the Zorgon ship's defenses and striking true. The effect was catastrophic for the Zorgons. Cascading failures ripped through their flagship, its once menacing form now racked with explosions and power fluctuations. The Zorgon command ship, crippled by this precision strike, began to list to one side. Panic spread through the Zorgon fleet as their smaller vessels watched their flagship falter. One by one, they broke off their attack, retreating into the depths of space. As the immediate threat subsided, Dr. Voss turned her attention to the delicate task of separating Jordan and Rhea. She initiated the procedure, carefully monitoring every aspect of the process. What she discovered left her speechless. The molecular bonding had unexpected side effects. Jordan and Rhea's DNA had become partially mixed. As their separate forms began to take shape, it was clear that both now exhibited traits of the other species. Jordan's body shimmered into existence, his musculature more defined, his senses clearly heightened. Beside him, Rhea materialized, her posture straighter, her eyes holding a new spark of analytical curiosity. As the separation completed, Jordan and Rhea stood apart once more, gazing at each other in wonder. The changes were subtle but undeniable. Jordan flexed his hand, marveling at his new strength. Rhea closed her eyes, sorting through the influx of sensory information with newfound clarity. "How do you feel?" Dr. Voss asked, approaching them cautiously. Jordan and Rhea turned to her in perfect synchronization, their movements mirroring each other. When they spoke, it was in unison, their voices blending in perfect harmony. "We feel different," they said. "Connected. Change." Dr. Voss nodded, her scientific curiosity warring with her concern for their well-being. "The bonding seems to have had some unexpected effects. You've each gained traits from the other species." As Jordan and Rhea processed this information, a new sensation washed over them. Thoughts and emotions flowed between them, clear as spoken words. Their mental and emotional connection had deepened beyond anything they had experienced before. The implications of their transformation began to dawn on them, a mix of excitement and trepidation. As they grappled with their new reality, alarms continued to sound throughout the damaged station, a reminder that while one crisis had passed, many challenges still lay ahead. Ahead, the station's alarms continued their urgent chorus, a stark reminder that the immediate danger had passed, but a new chapter of uncertainty lay before them. As Jordan and Rhea stood in the power core, still reeling from their transformation, Dr. Voss approached them with a mix of scientific curiosity and genuine concern etched on her face. She held up a handheld scanner, its display flickering with a cascade of data. "We need to get you both to the medical bay immediately," she said, her eyes darting between the readings and the changed pair before her. "Your physiologies are, well, they're unlike anything I've ever seen." Jordan flexed his fingers, marveling at the newfound strength coursing through his body. "It feels incredible," he murmured, his voice carrying an undertone that seemed to resonate with the station's very structure. Rhea nodded in agreement, her eyes wide as she processed the influx of sensory information. "Everything is so clear, so vivid," she added, her gaze sweeping the room with newfound analytical precision. As they made their way to the medical bay, escorted by Dr. Voss and a team of security personnel, the signs of the recent battle were evident throughout the station. Repair crews worked feverishly to patch hull breaches and stabilize damaged systems. The occasional spark from exposed circuitry punctuated the tense atmosphere. In the days that followed, Jordan and Rhea found themselves at the center of intense scientific scrutiny. Dr. Voss, along with a hastily assembled team of xenobiologists and geneticists, converted a section of the recovering Interstellar Academy into a specialized research facility. The tests were rigorous and constant. Jordan and Rhea underwent countless scans, blood draws, and physical examinations. Each day brought new revelations about their rapidly evolving hybrid physiology. During one particularly grueling session, Jordan watched in fascination as patches of his skin began to shimmer with an iridescent quality reminiscent of Rhea's denobulan heritage. Across the room, Rhea gasped as she felt her bone structure subtly shifting, taking on characteristics more akin to human anatomy. Dr. Voss furiously typed notes into her datapad. "It's as if your bodies are in a constant state of adaptation," she explained, her voice tinged with excitement. "You're not just combining traits, you're optimizing them." As the days wore on, Jordan and Rhea's connection deepened. They found themselves completing each other's sentences, moving in perfect synchronization without conscious thought. It was during one of these moments of harmony that something extraordinary occurred. In the middle of a neural mapping test, Jordan and Rhea suddenly stiffened, their eyes going wide. The medical staff watched in alarm as the pair's bioluminescence flared brightly, pulsing in a complex pattern. "What's happening?" Dr. Voss demanded, rushing to their side. Jordan and Rhea spoke in perfect unison, their voices blending into an otherworldly timbre. "We see it," they intoned, "beneath the surface of Denobula Prime. Ancient, powerful, waiting." Before Dr. Voss could inquire further, the pair collapsed, the sudden vision leaving them drained. As medical staff rushed to attend to them, alarms blared throughout the facility. The energy discharge from Jordan and Rhea's shared experience had overloaded several systems. Admiral Genval, newly appointed head of the Interstellar Academy, strode into the research facility, his face a mask of concern and persistence. "Doctor," he addressed Voss, "I need a full report. What exactly did we just witness?" As Dr. Voss began to explain the unprecedented event, Jordan and Rhea stirred, their eyes snapping open with a new sense of purpose. They sat up in unison, their movements fluid and coordinated. "Admiral," they spoke as one, their gazes locked on the startled officer. "We need to go to Denobula Prime. There's something there, something that could change everything." Admiral Genval's expression hardened as he processed their words. After a moment of tense silence, he nodded sharply. "Prepare an expedition team," he ordered, his voice carrying the weight of command. "We leave for Denobula Prime immediately." As the research facility erupted into a flurry of activity, Jordan and Rhea exchanged a glance. In that silent communication, they shared a mix of excitement, trepidation, and an undeniable sense that they stood on the brink of a discovery that would reshape their understanding of the galaxy. Little did they know that the ancient structure calling to them from beneath Denobula Prime's surface held secrets far beyond their wildest imaginations, secrets that would push their newfound abilities to the limit and test the very fabric of their merged existence. The expedition team arrived on Denobula Prime, their ship touching down near the coordinates revealed in Jordan and Rhea's shared vision. As they disembarked, the hybrid pair led the way, their altered physiology allowing them to sense the ancient structure buried deep beneath the planet's surface. Dr. Voss monitored their vital signs closely as they approached the excavation site. "Your bio readings are off the charts," she murmured, eyes fixed on her scanner. "Whatever's down there, it's having a strong effect on you both." Jordan nodded, his skin shimmering slightly in the planet's dim light. "We can feel it calling to us," he said, his voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. Rhea added, her eyes scanning the horizon with inhuman precision. "It's like a pulse, growing stronger with each step." As they reached the dig site, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Cracks appeared in the soil, spreading outward in a complex, spiraling pattern. Before anyone could react, a section of the earth collapsed, revealing a yawning chasm that plunged into darkness. Admiral Genval stepped forward, his face set in a grim expression. "Proceed with caution," he ordered. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." The team descended into the depths, guided by the eerie glow emanating from Jordan and Rhea's bodies. As they ventured deeper, the walls of the tunnel transitioned from rough stone to smooth, metallic surfaces etched with intricate patterns. Suddenly, the narrow passage opened into a vast chamber. At its center stood a towering crystalline structure, pulsing with an inner light that seemed to reach out to Jordan and Rhea. Holographic displays flickered to life around them, filling the air with streams of alien data. As Jordan and Rhea approached the central crystal, their bodies began to react. Waves of energy coursed through them, causing their hybrid physiology to fluctuate wildly. They staggered, overwhelmed by the surge of power. "Jordan, Rhea," Dr. Voss called out, rushing towards them. But before she could reach them, an invisible barrier sprang up, separating the pair from the rest of the team. Inside the energy field, Jordan and Rhea fought to maintain control. Their skin crackled with electricity, and their eyes glowed with an intense light. As they struggled, their bodies began to emit a powerful electromagnetic field that interacted with the alien technology surrounding them. To everyone's surprise, The erratic energy patterns of the facility began to stabilize. The holographic displays steadied, and the pulsing of the central crystal slowed to a steady rhythm. Dr. Voss's eyes widened as she realized what was happening. "Their hybrid physiology," she exclaimed. "It's acting as a stabilizing influence on the alien systems." Taking advantage of this unexpected reprieve, Dr. Voss and her team quickly set to work, analyzing the flood of data now streaming from the holographic displays. Inside the energy field, Jordan and Rhea experienced a shared vision of breathtaking clarity. They saw beings of light and energy, possessing the ability to alter their very essence at will. These were the progenitors, the creators of the seed ship. As the vision unfolded, Jordan and Rhea witnessed the progenitors adapting to countless worlds, their bodies shifting and changing to suit each new environment. The similarity to their own transformations was undeniable. The central crystal structure began to resonate with their unique energy signature. With a sound like shattering glass, the crystal split open, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside, two biomechanical suits hung, suspended in a field of energy. Without hesitation, Jordan and Rhea stepped forward. The suits seemed to call to them, promising a deeper connection to the alien technology that surrounded them. As they donned the suits, the material flowed over their bodies like liquid metal, conforming perfectly to their altered physiology. The moment the suits activated, Jordan and Rhea gasped in unison. Their minds expanded, connecting directly with the facility's systems. A flood of information poured into their consciousness, accompanied by the presence of an artificial intelligence. "Greetings, inheritors." The AI's voice resonated in their minds. "I am the custodian. You have been found worthy to receive the legacy of the progenitors." As the custodian explained the purpose of the facility and the suits, alarms began to blare throughout the complex. The AI's tone grew urgent. "The power core is destabilizing. Millennia of dormancy have taken their toll. You must act quickly to prevent a catastrophic overload." Jordan and Rhea exchanged a look, their newfound mental link allowing for instantaneous communication. They knew what they had to do. Guided by the custodian, they began the complex process of channeling the excess energy from the power core through their hybrid bodies and the biomechanical suits. Their forms glowed with otherworldly power as they struggled to contain the volatile energy. Outside the barrier, Dr. Voss and her team worked feverishly to decipher the progenitor language. As they made progress, a chilling revelation emerged. The facility contained information about an impending threat to the galaxy, a danger so great it had driven the progenitors to create the seed ships. As Jordan and Rhea continued their desperate effort to stabilize the core, their bodies underwent further changes. Their skin took on a metallic sheen, and their eyes shone with an inner light. The biomechanical suits seemed to merge with their flesh, becoming an integral part of their evolving forms. Suddenly, the ground beneath them shuddered. Hidden mechanisms engaged, and the team realized with shock that the underground complex was part of something much larger. As the facility began to rise from beneath the surface of Denobula Prime, Jordan and Rhea found themselves at the controls of an immense alien vessel. The custodian's voice echoed in their minds once more. "A distress signal has been detected from another seed ship. You must choose your path, inheritors. The future of many worlds now rests in your hands." As the ship broke through the planet's atmosphere, Jordan and Rhea stood poised at the threshold of an uncharted journey. The vastness of space stretched out before them, filled with both promise and peril. Their transformation had only just begun, and the true extent of their new powers remained to be discovered. As the realization of their newfound responsibilities settled upon them, Jordan and Rhea exchanged a determined glance. Their hybrid bodies, still pulsing with energy from the ancient facility, seemed to resonate with the ship's systems. "We have to go," Jordan said, his voice carrying an otherworldly timbre. Rhea nodded, her iridescent skin shimmering in the dim light of the control room. The distress signal. We can't ignore it. Without hesitation, they reached out to the ship's controls, their biomechanical suits interfacing seamlessly with the alien technology. The vessel responded to their touch, systems coming to life with a low hum that reverberated through the structure. Dr. Voss and Admiral Junval watched in awe as Jordan and Rhea's fingers danced across the holographic displays, inputting commands with inhuman speed and precision. Initiating faster-than-light drive, Rhea announced, her eyes glowing with an inner light. The ship's engines roared to life, a brilliant energy field enveloping the massive structure. On the surface of Denobula Prime, observatories tracking the vessel's ascent were suddenly blinded by an intense flash of light. As the ship accelerated rapidly, breaking free from the planet's orbit, Jordan and Rhea felt a surge of exhilaration course through their hybrid bodies. The stars outside the viewing ports blurred into streaks of light as they plunged into the depths of space. Their journey had only just begun when they noticed the changes continuing throughout their bodies. The metallic sheen of their skin intensified, intricate patterns of light pulsing beneath the surface in perfect synchronization with the ship's energy systems. Jordan gasped as he felt his consciousness expand, intertwining with Rhea's and the ship itself. "Can you feel that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Rhea nodded, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's like we're becoming one with the ship." As they traveled deeper into space, the custodian AI's voice resonated in their minds. "Initiating knowledge transfer," it announced. "Prepare yourselves, inheritors." Suddenly, their minds were flooded with an overwhelming torrent of information. Visions of the progenitor's history flashed before their eyes. Countless worlds explored, civilizations encountered, and technologies developed. But amidst the wonder and discovery, a dark shadow loomed. Jordan and Rhea witnessed the rise of a cosmic horror that sent chills down their spines. A massive, writhing entity of darkness and void, consuming entire star systems in its wake. "The Void Devourer," they whispered in unison, the name appearing in their shared consciousness. As the vision subsided, leaving them breathless and reeling, the ship's sensors blared an alert. Jordan's eyes snapped to the holographic display, scanning the incoming data. "There's something ahead," he said, his voice tense. "A massive debris field." Rhea joined him at the controls, her fingers dancing across the interface. "It looks like the aftermath of a battle. Multiple ship designs, various civilizations, all destroyed." They exchanged a grim look, understanding the implications. The Void Devourer's handiwork lay before them, a graveyard of shattered dreams and fallen civilizations. As they cautiously maneuvered the enormous progenitor vessel through the field of wreckage, a faint signal caught their attention. An escape pod, miraculously intact amidst the devastation, emitted a weak distress beacon. "We have to investigate," Rhea said, already adjusting their course. With delicate precision, they guided the massive ship through the debris, careful not to disturb the silent memorial to countless lost lives. As they approached the escape pod, the ship's tractor beam engaged, gently pulling the small craft into a specially designed hangar bay. Jordan and Rhea rushed to the hangar, their hybrid bodies moving with inhuman speed and grace. As the pod's hatch opened with a hiss of escaping air, they peered inside, their enhanced senses scanning for signs of life. There, curled in a protective ball, lay an unconscious alien female. Her skin shimmered with a pearlescent quality, and her features were unlike any species they had encountered before. "She's alive," Rhea breathed, reaching out to check the alien's vital signs. But barely. Together, they carefully lifted the unconscious form and carried her to the ship's medical bay. The advanced progenitor technology sprang to life, bathing the alien in a soft, healing light. As they watched the alien's wounds begin to close and her vital signs stabilize, Jordan and Rhea felt a strange resonance. Something about this being's biology seemed to call out to their hybrid physiology. Slowly, the alien's eyes fluttered open, revealing irises that swirled with colors like cosmic nebulae. She gazed at Jordan and Rhea, her expression a mixture of confusion and wonder. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice melodious and slightly otherworldly. "You're safe," Jordan assured her. "We found your escape pod in the debris field. Can you tell us your name?" The alien took a deep breath, her body seeming to shimmer slightly as she did so. "I am Zara," she said, her voice growing stronger, "of the adaptoids, and you. You are not like any beings I have encountered before." As Zara spoke, Jordan and Rhea felt a sudden shift in their perception. A new connection blossomed in their minds, a three-way link that tied them to this strange, beautiful alien. "The Void Devourer," Zara continued, her eyes filling with a mixture of fear and purpose. "It destroyed our fleet. We tried to stop it, but—" Her voice trailed off as she noticed the biomechanical suits Jordan and Rhea wore. Her eyes widened in recognition. "Those designs, they're similar to legends my people tell. Are you the ones we've been waiting for?" Before they could respond, the ship's alarms blared to life. The custodian AI's voice echoed through their minds, urgent and insistent. "Inheritors, a massive energy signature approaches. Analysis confirms. It is the Void Devourer." Jordan, Rhea, and Zara exchanged looks of shock and tenacity. The threat they had only just learned about was now bearing down upon them, and they were the only line of defense. As they rushed to the ship's control center, their bodies began to pulse with energy, their hybrid and adaptive physiologies reacting to the imminent danger. The ship itself seemed to come alive around them, weapon systems powering up and defensive shields shimmering into existence. Through the ship's observation systems, they caught their first glimpse of the Void Devourer. A roiling mass of dark energy filled their view, punctuated by flashes of light from consumed stars and planets. The sight was both terrifying and awe-inspiring, a cosmic force of destruction unlike anything they had ever imagined. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara took their positions at the ship's control interfaces, their bodies physically connecting with the vessel. As their energies merged with the ancient progenitor technology, they felt power beyond imagination coursing through them. The Void Devourer loomed ever closer, its massive form blocking out the stars. As Jordan, Rhea, and Zara prepared to face this cosmic threat, they knew that the fate of countless civilizations hung in the balance. Their incredible journey had led them to this moment, and now they stood as the last line of defense against a force that threatened to consume the entire galaxy. As the Void Devourer's massive form filled their view, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara felt a surge of energy course through their bodies. The ship's systems pulsed in response, initiating an emergency protocol that sent tremors through the vessel's structure. "What's happening?" Rhea asked, her voice tight with tension. Before anyone could answer, the ship began to transform around them. Walls shifted, corridors realigned, and new structures emerged from hidden compartments. The trio watched in awe as the progenitor vessel reconfigured itself into a sleek, combat-ready formation. Jordan felt the changes resonating within his hybrid body. "It's preparing for battle," he said, his eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The Void Devourer, a swirling vortex of dark energy studded with the remnants of consumed celestial bodies, altered its course. It surged toward them with terrifying speed, its massive form dwarfing their ship. Zara's pearlescent skin shimmered with fear and persistence. "It senses the progenitor technology. We've become its primary target." As the cosmic entity approached, Jordan accessed the newly unlocked knowledge in his mind. His fingers danced across the control interface, activating the ship's primary weapon system. A massive cannon emerged from the bow, its energy signature pulsing in perfect synchronization with their hybrid physiology. Rhea, her denobulan senses enhanced by the progenitor modifications, Scan the approaching threat. I'm detecting fluctuations in its energy field, she reported. There are points where it's less dense. Possible weak spots. Jordan nodded, adjusting the targeting systems. Good work. We'll focus our attack there. As the ship maneuvered into position, Zara's adaptoid biology merged more deeply with the vessel's defensive systems. Her eyes swirled with cosmic colors as she generated a powerful energy shield around the entire ship. The Void Devourers struck first, launching tendrils of dark energy that slammed against Zara's shield. The impact sent shockwaves through the ship, causing the trio to grimace in pain as the stress reverberated through their connected bodies. Shield holding, Zara grunted, her form shimmering as she struggled to maintain the barrier. Jordan targeted one of the weak points Rhea had identified and fired the main cannon. A beam of concentrated energy lanced out, striking the Void Devourer's massive form. The creature's dark mass rippled from the impact, but quickly regenerated. It's not enough, Rhea said, her fingers flying over the controls. We need to hit it with everything we've got. Jordan nodded, initiating a secondary attack protocol. Hundreds of smaller energy projectiles erupted from the ship, targeting multiple weak points simultaneously. The Void Devourer reacted violently, its tendrils lashing out with increased ferocity. The ship shuddered under the assault, and the trio felt each impact as if it were striking their own bodies. Their hybrid physiology adapted rapidly, developing new neural pathways to distribute the energy load more efficiently. As the battle raged on, a strange, pulsating signal emanated from the Void Devourer. The custodian AI's voice echoed in their minds. Analysis complete. The entity is calling for reinforcements. Long-range scans revealed multiple smaller entities, similar in composition to the Void Devourer, heading towards their location. Jordan's mind raced, searching for a solution. We can't fight them all, he said. But maybe we can trap them. He outlined his plan to use the faster-than-light drive to create a localized space-time distortion. Rhea and Zara exchanged glances, recognizing the desperation and brilliance of the strategy. It's risky, Rhea said, but it might be our only chance. To execute the plan, they initiated a deeper neural link with the ship systems. Their consciousness merged more fully with the progenitor technology, causing their physical forms to blur and phase. As they prepared to activate the faster-than-light drive, the Void Devourer launched a massive assault. Dark energy tendrils breached Zara's shield, penetrating the ship's hull and beginning to absorb its energy. In that moment of crisis, their merged consciousness accessed a hidden progenitor protocol. The ship's molecular structure began to shift and flow, adapting to the attack. New defensive structures emerged, sealing breaches and reinforcing weak points. With the ship temporarily stabilized, they activated the faster-than-light drive. Space itself seemed to warp around them as a swirling vortex of energy engulfed the Void Devourer and its approaching reinforcements. The cosmic entities contorted as they were pulled into the distortion, their forms stretching and twisting in impossible ways. But the immense power required for this maneuver pushed the progenitor ship and its hybrid crew to their limits. Alarms blared throughout the vessel as multiple systems approached critical failure. The trio's merged consciousness began to fragment under the strain, threatening to break their connection. A blinding flash of energy engulfed the battlefield. When it faded, the Void Devourer and its reinforcements had vanished into the swirling vortex. But the progenitor ship, caught in the outer edges of the distortion, was violently thrown off course. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara found themselves forcibly disconnected from the ship's interfaces, their hybrid bodies reverting to a more stable form. As they regained consciousness, they realized they were lost in an uncharted region of space, their navigation systems damaged beyond immediate repair. The custodian AI's voice, now weak and fragmented, informed them of their situation. Self-repair systems are functioning, but full restoration will take considerable time. We are cut off from known space, and long-range communications are offline. As the trio stood in the dimly lit control room, surrounded by the damaged systems of their once mighty vessel, they face an uncertain future. Their hybrid bodies, forever changed by the intense battle and deep connection with progenitor technology, held both promise and mystery. Jordan looked at his companions, his eyes still glowing faintly with residual energy. "We're alive," he said, his voice hoarse but determined. "And as long as we're alive, we have a chance." Rhea nodded, her denobulin features shimmering with an otherworldly quality. "We need to assess the damage, see what we can repair." Zara, her adaptoid form still fluctuating slightly, gestured towards the ship's central interface. "Perhaps we can use our connection to the ship to accelerate the repairs." As they moved to examine the damaged systems, each step revealed new aspects of their evolving abilities. They were no longer simply human, denobulin, and adaptoid. They had become something entirely new, hybrid beings infused with ancient progenitor technology and power. The vastness of unexplored space stretched out before them, filled with unknown dangers and potential allies. As they began the long process of repairing their ship and finding their way back to known space, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara knew that their greatest challenges, and perhaps their true purpose, still lay ahead. Yet, as they faced the daunting task of repairing their damaged vessel and finding their way back to known space, a spark of hope ignited within them. Jordan took a deep breath, his hybrid physiology still adjusting to the aftermath of their intense battle. "Let's start with the basics," he said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty that surrounded them. "We need to assess the damage and prioritize our repairs." Rhea nodded, her denobulin features shimmering with a newfound ethereal quality. "I'll begin a full systems diagnostic," she said, moving towards one of the functioning control panels. As Rhea worked, Jordan and Zara explored the ship's corridors, searching for any immediate structural damage. Their enhanced strength and agility, remnants of their merged state during the battle, allowed them to navigate the damaged areas with ease. Zara's adaptoid form fluctuated slightly as she passed her hand over a damaged wall panel. "I can sense the ship's energy pathways," she said, her voice tinged with wonder. "It's as if I can feel where the damage is most severe." Jordan watched in fascination as Zara's skin briefly took on the metallic sheen of the ship's hull. "Your adaptive abilities seem to have evolved," he observed. "Can you interface with the ship's systems?" Before Zara could respond, the custodian AI's voice echoed through the corridor, its tone weaker than before. "Inheritors, I have located a series of maintenance bays throughout the vessel. These facilities contain repair drones and fabrication units that may aid in our restoration efforts." Guided by the AI, the trio made their way to the nearest maintenance bay. As they entered, the room hummed to life, illuminating banks of dormant repair drones and sophisticated fabrication units. Rhea's eyes widened as she took in the advanced technology. Her heightened denobulin senses allowed her to quickly assess the equipment. "These units are incredibly sophisticated," she said, running her hand over a nearby drone. "With these, we might be able to repair the most critical systems relatively quickly." Jordan nodded, accessing the progenitor knowledge embedded in his mind. His fingers danced across a nearby control panel, activating the repair drones. The machines whirred to life, their sleek forms rising into the air before dispersing throughout the ship to begin their work. As the drones set about repairing the damaged hull and internal systems, Jordan noticed a warning light flashing on the control panel. "Our energy reserves are dangerously low," he said, his brow furrowing with concern. "We need to find a way to replenish our power, or we'll be dead in space." Zara's form shimmered as an idea struck her. "What if we could collect ambient cosmic radiation?" she suggested. "My adaptoid biology might allow me to act as a conduit for this energy, channeling it back to the ship." Jordan considered the proposal, weighing the risks and potential rewards. "It's dangerous," he said, "but it might be our best option. We'll need to modify the space suits to interface with our hybrid physiologies." Working together, they quickly adapted two of the ship's specialized space suits. As Jordan and Zara prepared to venture outside the vessel, Rhea connected them to energy lines that would serve as both tethers and power conduits. "Be careful out there," Rhea said, her voice tight with concern. "I'll monitor the power transfer from here and coordinate with the repair drones." Jordan and Zara stepped into the airlock, their hybrid bodies thrumming with anticipation. As the outer doors opened, they were greeted by the vast expanse of uncharted space. Tethered to the ship, they pushed off, floating into the void. Zara's body began to glow as she absorbed the surrounding cosmic radiation. Jordan, connected to her through their hybrid bond, felt the energy flow between them. He focused on channeling the power back to the ship, watching as the energy lines pulsed with transferred power. Inside the ship, Rhea monitored the power levels, her expression brightening as she saw the reserves begin to climb. As she worked, her enhanced senses detected an anomaly in the maintenance bay. Following her instincts, she discovered a hidden chamber containing stasis pods filled with preserved genetic samples. "Jordan, Zara," she called over the comm, "you won't believe what I found. There are genetic samples here from various species, including some that match my denobulan DNA. The progenitors must have had plans for preserving and evolving multiple species." Outside the ship, Jordan and Zara's connection intensified as they continued to channel energy. Jordan felt a strange sensation coursing through his body, and suddenly, he found himself able to generate small, localized gravitational fields. Zara, meanwhile, discovered that her adaptive abilities had accelerated, allowing her to alter her physical form more rapidly and extensively than ever before. As the power transfer neared completion, the ship's primary systems began to reactivate. Long-range sensors came online, detecting a massive, swirling nebula nearby. The custodian AI's voice, stronger now, addressed the trio. "The nebula contains abundant resources that could aid in our full restoration. However, its intense radiation and gravitational eddies pose significant risks." Jordan and Zara returned to the ship, their bodies still humming with cosmic energy. The trio gathered in the control room, reconnecting with the ship systems. As they merged once again with the progenitor technology, they maintained a greater sense of individual identity than before. "We need those resources," Jordan said, his newly acquired gravitational abilities helping to stabilize the ship as they approached the nebula's outer edge. "It's a risk we have to take." Rhea nodded, her enhanced senses already mapping out a path through the swirling gases and energy discharges. "I think I can navigate us through safely," she said, her fingers dancing across the control interface. Zara's adaptive biology stretched and shifted, creating protective layers around the ship's more vulnerable systems. "I'll do my best to shield us from the nebula's effects," she added, her form rippling with effort. As they penetrated deeper into the nebula, the ship's sensors detected something unexpected. A massive structure at its core, its design reminiscent of progenitor technology. The trio exchanged looks of surprise and anticipation. This discovery presented new challenges and opportunities, forcing them to decide between approaching the mysterious object or focusing on harvesting the nebula's resources. As they contemplated their next move, their hybrid bodies continued to evolve, adapting to the nebula's unique environment. New abilities emerged, and their connection to each other and the ship deepened. Jordan gazed at the looming structure on their view screen, his mind racing with possibilities. "Whatever we decide," he said, his voice filled with commitment, "it's clear our journey is a long way to go." The progenitor ship hovered at the edge of decision, the mysterious structure beckoning, while the need for repairs and resources pulled them in another direction. As Jordan, Rhea, and Zara prepared to make their choice, They knew that their decision could alter the course of their mission and potentially impact the future of countless civilizations across the galaxy. The mysterious structure loomed before them, its vast form dwarfing their progenitor ship. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara exchanged glances, their decision made. "We need to investigate," Jordan said, his hands moving deftly across the control interface. "This could be the key to understanding our mission and the progenitors themselves." As they approached, a powerful gravitational field enveloped their ship, threatening to pull them off course. Jordan closed his eyes, concentrating on his newly acquired abilities. His body hummed with energy as he generated a localized gravitational field around their vessel, counteracting the structure's pull. "Incredible," Rhea breathed, monitoring their approach. "You're keeping us stable." Zara's form shimmered, her adaptoid biology reacting to the strange energies surrounding them. "It's not just a structure," she said, her voice filled with awe. "It's a space station, and it's enormous." As they drew closer, the station's true scale became apparent. It dwarfed the interstellar academy they had left behind, its design a fusion of familiar progenitor elements and unknown alien technologies. Rhea's enhanced senses picked up faint energy signatures. "There's still power," she reported. "Some systems must be operational." Jordan nodded, guiding their ship towards the station. "We should dock and explore. Maybe we can find resources to complete our repairs." As if in response to their intentions, the station's automated systems activated. Tractor beams engaged, guiding their approach to a docking port with precision. The trio prepared to board, their hybrid bodies tingling with anticipation. As the airlock cycled, they stepped into the station's environment. The gravity was lighter than standard, causing them to move with unexpected agility. The air, while breathable, carried a metallic tang that tickled their enhanced senses. They moved through dimly lit corridors, their footsteps echoing in the emptiness. Suddenly, holographic displays flickered to life around them, showing streams of data in an unknown language. Rhea's eyes darted from one display to another, her denobulan brain working to decipher the information. "I'm starting to see patterns," she said. "It's fragmented, but I think I can piece together some of its history." As they ventured deeper into the station, they entered a vast chamber filled with advanced medical equipment. Zara gasped, her body glowing and shifting rapidly in response to the technology. This feels familiar somehow," she said, moving towards a central console. "I think this place might help me understand my abilities better." Jordan touched her shoulder reassuringly. "Take your time. Rhea and I will continue exploring." As Zara remained in the medical chamber, Jordan and Rhea pressed on. They soon found themselves in an enormous hangar bay, filled with various spacecraft in surprisingly good condition. "These could be useful," Jordan mused, examining a sleek vessel nearby. "Alternative transportation if we need it." Their exploration was cut short as alarms blared throughout the station. Robotic drones emerged from hidden compartments, surrounding them with weapons raised. Jordan reacted instinctively, using his gravitational manipulation to crush several drones. Rhea's enhanced reflexes allowed her to dodge energy blasts, her movements a blur as she evaded the attacks. In the medical chamber, Zara discovered a neural interface. Without hesitation, she connected to it, her adaptoid physiology integrating seamlessly with the station systems. Through this connection, she quickly located the security protocols and deactivated them, halting the drone attack. "Jordan, Rhea, are you all right?" Zara's voice echoed through their hybrid bond. "We're fine," Jordan replied, surveying the disabled drones around them. "What did you do?" Zara's excitement was palpable through their connection. "I've interfaced with the station systems. You won't believe what I've discovered. Meet me back in the medical chamber." As they regrouped, Zara shared her newfound knowledge. "This station is a progenitor facility," she explained, her form still pulsing with energy from the interface. It was designed to monitor and study the evolution of species across the galaxy. The databases here contain vast amounts of genetic information and advanced biological manipulation technology. Ria's eyes widened. This could have huge implications for our mission, for our species. Jordan nodded, his mind racing with possibilities. We should spend some time studying these databases. Maybe we can find something to help us against threats like the Void Devourer. As they delved into the station's archives, however, troubling information came to light. The progenitor's experiments with rapid evolution and genetic manipulation had led to unforeseen consequences, possibly contributing to their disappearance. The trio exchanged worried glances, their hybrid bodies suddenly feeling foreign and unpredictable. Were they following a similar path? Could their transformations lead to dangers they couldn't foresee? Their contemplation was interrupted by a faint signal detected by the station's long-range sensors. Ria quickly analyzed the data. "It's a distress signal," she reported, her voice tense. "And its signature matches another progenitor seed ship." Jordan moved to a nearby console, confirming Ria's findings. "It's coming from a distant part of the nebula. We have to decide, do we continue exploring the station and its resources, or do we investigate this new lead?" As they considered their options, they became acutely aware of changes within themselves. Their mental connection had deepened, allowing them to share thoughts and emotions with startling clarity. The bond between them intensified, bringing with it a complex web of attraction and intimacy. Zara's form shimmered, reflecting the turmoil of emotions. "Whatever we decide, we're in this together." Jordan nodded, feeling the weight of their shared connection. "We have the repaired ship, and now we have access to all this new information. But this distress signal, it could be crucial to our mission." Ria stepped closer to her companions, their hybrid physiologies resonating in proximity. "We stand at a crossroads. Our next move could shape not just our mission, but the future of our species and perhaps the entire galaxy." The vastness of the station surrounded them, filled with untapped knowledge and potential. The distress signal beckoned from the depths of the nebula, promising new discoveries and possibly danger. As Jordan, Ria, and Zara prepared to make their decision, the weight of their transformed existence and deepening bond added yet another layer of complexity to their already daunting mission. The weight of their decision hung in the air as Jordan, Ria, and Zara exchanged determined looks. The distress signal from the other progenitor seed ship demanded their immediate attention. "We need to investigate," Jordan said, his voice firm. "Another seed ship could be crucial to our mission." Ria nodded, her enhanced senses already reaching out towards the signal's source. "Agreed. We can always return to study the station later." Zara's form rippled with anticipation. "Let's prepare for departure. I'll download as much data as I can from the station's archives." They moved swiftly, gathering essential supplies and utilizing the station's advanced medical facilities for a final check of their evolving physiologies. The results both thrilled and unnerved them. Their bodies were continuing to adapt and merge with progenitor technology at a cellular level. As they boarded their repaired ship, now enhanced with salvage technology from the station, Jordan felt a surge of energy coursing through him. His gravitational manipulation abilities hummed beneath his skin, ready to be called upon. Zara interfaced with the ship's systems, her consciousness expanding as she absorbed vast amounts of data from the station's archives. "This information could be invaluable," she said, her voice tinged with excitement. With a final look at the mysterious station, they disengaged and set course for the source of the distress signal. The nebula loomed before them, a swirling mass of gas and energy that seemed to pulse with otherworldly life. As they entered the nebula, the ship shuddered violently. Intense gravitational eddies and radiation storms battered their vessel, threatening to tear it apart. "Jordan, we need you," Ria called out, her hands dancing across the control interface. Jordan closed his eyes, concentrating on the gravitational forces surrounding them. He extended his awareness, creating localized fields that deflected the most dangerous energy surges. The strain was immense, but he held firm. Rhea's enhanced senses guided them through the treacherous environment. "Port side," she shouted. "Massive energy spike incoming." Jordan reacted instantly, bending the gravitational field to their starboard side. The energy surge passed harmlessly by, missing them by mere meters as they navigated the perilous nebula. The trio's mental and physical connection intensified. Thoughts, emotions, and even sensory experiences flowed between them with startling clarity. Jordan found himself acutely aware of Rhea's quickened heartbeat and Zara's shifting form. Hours passed as they pushed deeper into the nebula. Finally, Rhea's voice cut through the tension. "We're approaching the coordinates of the distress signal." As they drew closer, a battered progenitor seed ship came into view. It drifted listlessly in a relatively calm area of the nebula, its hull scarred and blackened. "Life support systems are failing," Zara reported, her consciousness merged with their ship sensors. "But I'm detecting faint life signs aboard." They docked with the damaged seed ship, their protective suits enhanced by their hybrid abilities. As the airlock cycled, Jordan created a localized gravitational field around them, providing an extra layer of protection against potential hazards. Stepping into the vessel, they were met with scenes of recent conflict. Weapon impacts scarred the corridors, and numerous systems flickered weakly or remained dark. "This way," Rhea said, her enhanced senses picking up traces of the life signs. They moved deeper into the ship, passing through chambers filled with dormant technology and others bearing signs of hasty barricades. Suddenly, they heard movement ahead. Rounding a corner, they came face to face with a group of aliens. Not progenitors, but a diverse collection of species. The survivors, weak and injured, regarded them with a mix of fear and hope. A female alien stepped forward, her iridescent skin pale, and her 4 eyes blinking rapidly. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice hoarse. "Are you our saviors?" Jordan deactivated his helmet, revealing his hybrid features. "We're here to help. I'm Jordan, and these are my companions, Rhea and Zara. We received your distress signal." Lyra's eyes widened as she took in their appearance. "You bear the mark of the progenitors, yet you are not them. How is this possible?" Before they could answer, alarms blared throughout the ship. Zara, still connected to their vessel systems, gasped. Multiple ships entering the nebula. Energy signatures matched Lyra's attackers. Jordan turned to Lyra, his mind racing. "We need to act fast. Is there anyone among your people who can assist with your ship systems?" Lyra nodded, gesturing to a tall, multi-limbed alien. "Vex is our chief engineer. He knows the ship better than anyone." "Good," Jordan said. "We have a plan, but we'll need your help." As Vex joined them, Jordan quickly outlined his idea to use the nebula's properties and their combined technologies to create a temporary cloaking field. Rhea and Zara nodded in agreement, their hybrid minds already calculating the possibilities. "It's risky," Vex said, his voice a low rumble, "but it may be our only chance." They sprang into action, Jordan and Vex working to align the 2 ships' gravitational systems, while Rhea and Zara interfaced with the sensor arrays. Lyra coordinated with her crew, preparing for potential evacuation if the plan failed. As the hostile ships drew closer, Jordan felt his abilities stretch to their limits. He focused intensely, manipulating gravitational fields with unprecedented precision. Beside him, Rhea's eyes glowed as she perceived energy patterns within the nebula itself, guiding their efforts. Zara's form rippled and shifted, her consciousness split between both ship systems. "Enemy vessels approaching," she reported, her voice strained. "Weapons charging." In that moment of desperation, something extraordinary happened. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara's hybrid abilities synchronized, creating a synergy that amplified the cloaking field beyond their wildest expectations. Energy surged through them, their bodies glowing with otherworldly power. The cloaking field expanded, enveloping both ships in a shimmering cocoon of bent light and gravity. The energy output was so intense that it temporarily disrupted the hostile ship's sensors, leaving them blind in the swirling chaos of the nebula. As the immediate threat passed, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara found themselves grappling with the aftermath of their combined power. Their bodies tingled with residual energy, and their mental connection had deepened even further. Lyra approached them, her eyes filled with a mixture of awe and gratitude. "You've saved us," she said, "but I fear our troubles are far from finished." Jordan nodded, acutely aware of the challenges that lay ahead. They now faced the daunting task of integrating Lyra's people into their mission, repairing the damaged seed ship, and planning their next move, all while remaining vigilant for the return of the hostile forces. As they began to address these pressing issues, Jordan couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Their evolving abilities and deepening connection had become central to their survival. Yet, as he glanced at Rhea and Zara, he realized that navigating the complex emotions and desires between them would be a challenge all its own. The nebula swirled around their ships, its energies continuing to influence their hybrid physiologies in ways they were only beginning to understand. As they initiated repairs on the damaged seed ship, Jordan knew that the path ahead was uncertain, but they would face it together. Their fates now intertwined with Lyra's people in this vast, uncharted cosmos. Galaxy. With Lyra's people now part of their mission, the focus shifted to repairing the damaged seed ship. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara worked tirelessly alongside Lyra's crew, integrating their knowledge and technology to establish a temporary base within the nebula's swirling gases. As days passed, the trio noticed subtle changes in their hybrid bodies. Jordan's skin developed a faint metallic sheen, reminiscent of Zara's adaptoid texture. Rhea's denobulin ridges became more pronounced, heightening her already impressive sensory capabilities. Zara's form shifted, taking on more humanoid characteristics that mirrored aspects of both Jordan and Rhea. These physical changes coincided with a deepening connection between them. During a rare moment of respite, Jordan found himself drawn to Rhea and Zara in a way he hadn't experienced before. Their bodies seemed to resonate on a cellular level, creating an intense attraction that was impossible to ignore. Rhea's eyes met Jordan's, a mixture of desire and uncertainty swirling in their depths. This connection. "It's unlike anything I've ever felt," she said, her voice low. Zara's form rippled, reflecting the intensity of the moment. "Our hybrid physiologies are evolving, adapting. Perhaps this is a natural progression of our bond." Their exploration of these new feelings was cut short as alarms blared throughout the base. Jordan rushed to the command center, Rhea and Zara close behind. Lyra was already there, her iridescent skin pale with worry. Long-range sensors had detected a large fleet entering the nebula, Lyra reported, her four eyes blinking rapidly. "The energy signatures match those of our attackers, but the scale is massive." Jordan's mind raced as he assessed their options. "We need to strengthen our cloaking field. It's our only chance of avoiding detection." Rhea nodded, her enhanced senses already reaching out to monitor the approaching threat. "I'll coordinate with the sensor array, tracking their movements." Zara's consciousness expanded, interfacing with both ship systems. "I'm optimizing our power output and preparing for potential evasive maneuvers." As the enemy fleet drew closer, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara combined their abilities in a way they never had before. Jordan manipulated gravity to bend light around their ships, creating a more powerful cloaking field. Rhea's expanded sensory capabilities allowed her to track the enemy's movements with uncanny precision. Zara's direct interface with their systems enabled split-second adjustments to maintain their hidden position. The strain of maintaining this enhanced cloaking field was immense. Jordan felt sweat beading on his brow as he focused on bending gravitational fields to their will. Rhea's eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as she processed the vast amounts of sensory data flooding her mind. Zara's form flickered and shifted, her consciousness stretched between multiple systems. Despite their efforts, a small enemy scout ship detected a faint energy signature from their cloaked vessels. Jordan locked eyes with Rhea and Zara, a silent understanding passing between them. They needed to act fast. "We'll use the nebula against them," Jordan said, his voice tight with concentration. "I can create gravitational eddies and energy storms to mask our escape." Rhea nodded, her eyes still glowing. "I'll guide us through. My senses can navigate the chaos." Zara's form solidified momentarily. "I'll coordinate our ship's movements. We'll need perfect synchronization to pull this off." As Jordan manipulated the gravitational fields around them, the nebula erupted into a maelstrom of swirling gases and energy discharges. The enemy fleet's formation broke apart as ships were buffeted by the sudden storm. Rhea's voice cut through the tension. "Port side now," she called out, guiding their ships through a narrow gap in the turbulence. The intensity of their hybrid abilities interacting with the progenitor technology caused unexpected changes in their ships. Systems began to merge and evolve, mirroring the biological changes occurring in Jordan, Rhea, and Zara. The vessel's speed and maneuverability increased dramatically, allowing them to navigate the treacherous nebula with unprecedented agility. As they pushed through the storm of their own making, a massive energy surge erupted from the center of the nebula. A swirling vortex of light and energy formed before them, its appearance both terrifying and awe-inspiring. Lyra gasped, her eyes wide with recognition. "A nexus point. The legends of my people speak of such phenomena, gateways through space and time." With the enemy fleet regrouping and closing in, Jordan made a split-second decision. "We're going through," he announced, guiding both ships towards a swirling vortex. The journey through the nexus point was unlike anything they had experienced before. Gravitational forces threatened to tear the ships apart, while exotic radiation bathed them in eerie light. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara's hybrid bodies reacted strongly to the extreme environment, undergoing further mutations at an accelerated rate. When they finally emerged on the other side, they found themselves adrift in an unfamiliar star system, far from the nebula and their pursuers. The ship's systems, overtaxed by the passage, shut down, leaving them temporarily powerless. As emergency power slowly came online, Jordan looked out at the unfamiliar stars surrounding them. The coordinates to the progenitor outposts were now useless, leaving them without a clear destination or purpose. Rhea joined him at the viewport, her newly enhanced features etched with concern. "Where do we go from here?" Zara's form coalesced beside them, more humanoid than ever before. "We adapt," she said simply. "It's what we've always done." As they began to assess their situation and reactivate their ship systems, Jordan felt the weight of their new reality settling in. They were lost in an unknown part of the galaxy, their mission parameters now obsolete. Yet, as he looked at Rhea and Zara, he felt a surge of something beyond mere companionship or attraction. Their shared experiences and evolving bond had created a connection that transcended physical form. The challenges ahead were daunting, but as Jordan initiated emergency protocols to stabilize their situation, he knew that together, they would find a way forward. The unfamiliar stars beckoned, promising new discoveries and unknown dangers. Whatever lay ahead, their journey was just the beginning. Beginning of their journey was about to unfold in ways they could never have imagined. As the emergency power systems hummed to life, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara focused their attention on assessing their new surroundings. The unfamiliar star system stretched out before them, a tapestry of cosmic wonders waiting to be explored. Initiating long-range scans, Zara announced, her form shimmering as she interfaced with the ship systems. Detecting multiple planets within the habitable zone of a binary star system. Jordan leaned forward, studying the holographic display that materialized before them. Fascinating. The nearest planet seems to be teeming with life. Those green landmasses and vast oceans. It's beautiful. Rhea's eyes glowed as she extended her senses, probing the distant world. I'm picking up something else. Artificial structures, highly advanced. There's a civilization down there. As they worked to stabilize their ships and gather more information, the trio became acutely aware of the changes their bodies had undergone during their passage through the nexus point. Jordan felt a strange tingling in his fingertips, and as he focused his thoughts, he noticed small objects around him slowing their descent to the floor. "Guys," he said, his voice filled with wonder, "I think my gravitational abilities have evolved. I can create localized fields of altered time flow." Rhea nodded, her eyes widening. "I'm experiencing something similar. My sensory perception has expanded beyond anything I've known before. I can detect quantum fluctuations in the space around us." Zara's form shifted and rippled, her body reconfiguring itself in ways that seemed to defy the laws of physics. "My adaptive abilities have reached a new level of complexity. I can alter my physical structure at will, beyond mere shape-shifting." Their exploration of these new abilities was interrupted by a sudden burst of activity from the ship's communication array. Zara's attention snapped to the incoming transmission. "We're receiving a message from the planet's surface. It's being broadcast on multiple frequencies and in several languages." As they listened to the transmission, their eyes widened in recognition. Among the various alien languages, they heard a familiar cadence, a variant of the progenitor language they had encountered in the Seed ship's archives. Jordan exchanged glances with Rhea and Zara. "This can't be a coincidence. We need to respond." With a collective nod of agreement, they prepared their ships for atmospheric entry. As they descended through the planet's upper atmosphere, the true scale of the civilization below became apparent. Sprawling cities dotted the landscape, their architecture a mesmerizing blend of organic forms and advanced technology. "It's like nothing I've ever seen," Rhea breathed, her enhanced senses drinking in every detail. "The way they've integrated nature and technology. It's as if the cities themselves are alive." Their ships touched down in a designated landing area outside one of the major urban centers. As the hatches opened, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara stepped out onto the alien world, their senses overwhelmed by the vibrant colors and unfamiliar scents carried on the warm breeze. A delegation of the planet's inhabitants approached, their movements graceful and purposeful. The aliens bore a striking resemblance to the progenitors they had seen in historical records, but with distinct differences that hinted at millennia of separate evolution. The leader of the delegation, a tall, elegant male with iridescent skin and 4 piercing eyes, stepped forward. "Welcome, travelers," he said, his voice resonating with a musical quality. "I am Kalair of the Sindari. We have long awaited the arrival of those who could understand our ancestral tongue." Jordan stepped forward, bowing slightly in greeting. "I am Jordan, and these are my companions, Rhea and Zara. We come in peace and friendship." Kalair's eyes widened as he took in their appearance, his gaze lingering on their clearly hybrid physiologies. "Fascinating. You are unlike any beings we have encountered before. Please, tell us of your journey." As Jordan recounted their story, from their original mission to their passage through the Nexus Point, Kalair's expression grew increasingly animated. When Jordan finished, the Sindari leader could barely contain his excitement. "This is extraordinary," Kalair exclaimed. "You must understand, we are descendants of a group of progenitors who fled a great catastrophe eons ago. We sought refuge in this hidden star system, but much of our ancestors' most advanced technology has lain dormant, beyond our ability to reactivate." He gestured to their ships. "Your unique abilities, your connection to progenitor technology. You may be the key we have long sought. Kalair extended his hand in a welcoming gesture. Come, we invite you to our capital city. There is much we can learn from each other. And perhaps together, we can unlock the secrets of our shared heritage. As they boarded a sleek Sindari transport vehicle, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara marveled at the seamless integration of nature and technology that surrounded them. Massive trees served as living buildings, their branches intertwined with glowing energy conduits and shimmering communication arrays. The transport glided silently through the city, eventually coming to rest before an awe-inspiring structure that seemed to grow out of the very ground itself. Kalair led them towards the entrance, his voice filled with reverence. "Welcome to the Hall of Ancestors," he said. "Here, we have gathered all that remains of our progenitor legacy. And now, with your arrival, we may finally be able to unlock its full potential." As they stepped inside the vast chamber, filled with artifacts and humming data banks, Jordan felt a surge of energy course through his body. Beside him, Rhea gasped, her eyes glowing brightly, while Zara's form shimmered with increased intensity. Kalair watched them with keen interest. "Your connection to our ancestral technology is even stronger than I imagined. We must begin our examinations at once." Sindari scientists approached, their expressions a mixture of curiosity and excitement. As they began their study of the trio's hybrid physiologies, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara felt their abilities synchronizing in ways they had never experienced before. The air around them seemed to crackle with energy as their evolutionary changes accelerated, driven by their proximity to each other and the abundance of progenitor technology. Kalair's expression shifted from amazement to concern. This level of rapid adaptation. "It's unprecedented," he said, his voice tinged with worry. "We may need to consider stabilizing your conditions before." Kalair's words were cut short by an urgent communication. Lyra's voice, tense and hurried, filled the chamber. "Jordan, we detected a massive energy surge from the direction of the nexus point. I think they've found a way to follow us." The news sent a ripple of tension through the group. Kalair's four eyes blinked rapidly as he processed this new threat. "We may have another option," he said, his voice low and urgent. "There is an ancient progenitor installation hidden beneath the planet's surface. It houses technology that might allow you to control your evolutionary process, and perhaps give us the means to face this new danger." Jordan looked at Rhea and Zara, seeing his own willpower reflected in their eyes. They nodded in silent agreement. "Lead the way, Kalair," Jordan said, his voice firm. "We don't have much time." As they hurried from the Hall of Ancestors, following Kalair towards the hidden installation, the Sindari's long-range sensors detected multiple objects entering the star system at high speed. The race against time had begun, with the fate of two civilizations hanging in the balance. Jordan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders as they descended into the planet's depths. Whatever lay ahead in the ancient progenitor installation, he knew that the choices they made in the coming hours would shape not only their own destinies, but potentially the future of the entire galaxy. As they descended into the planet's depths, the biomechanical Sindari transport vehicle adapted to the changing environment. Its outer shell shifted and morphed, adjusting to the increasing pressure and temperature. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara sat with Kalair and his team of scientists, their bodies humming with anticipation and the continued evolution of their abilities. The transport navigated through a maze of caverns, its path illuminated by bioluminescent fungi clinging to the rock walls. Suddenly, the vehicle shuddered as it entered an unstable section of the tunnel system. "Hold on," Jordan said, his voice steady despite the danger. He raised his hands, focusing his newly enhanced gravitational abilities. The air around them shimmered as he created a localized field of altered gravity, stabilizing the transport and the surrounding rock formations. Rhea's eyes glowed as she extended her senses, probing the darkness ahead. "There's a hidden passageway to our left," she announced. "It's not on any of the Sindari maps, but I can sense a faint energy signature emanating from it." Kalair nodded, his four eyes blinking in rapid succession. "Your perception is remarkable. We've never detected anything in that area before." As they approached the concealed entrance, Zara's form rippled and shifted. She extended a portion of her body towards a rock face, interfacing with the hidden progenitor security system. "Fascinating," she murmured. "The encryption is unlike anything I've encountered, but I can adapt to it." With a soft hum, the rock face shimmered and dissolved, revealing a long hidden corridor. The transport glided forward, entering a vast chamber that seemed to pulse with energy. "The Nexus Core," Kalair breathed, his voice filled with awe. At the center of the chamber stood a towering crystalline structure, its facets glowing with an inner light that shifted and swirled. As Jordan, Rhea, and Zara approached, their hybrid bodies resonated with the energy emanating from the core. Holographic displays sprang to life around them, filling the air with streams of data and complex schematics. Jordan's eyes widened as he absorbed the information. "This technology, it's beyond anything we've seen before. It has the potential to stabilize our mutations and give us unprecedented control over our abilities." Before they could fully explore the implications of their discovery, alarms blared throughout the complex. Kalair received an urgent communication from the surface. "The pursuing forces have entered the system," he reported, his voice tense. "Our defense systems are engaging, but they're outmatched." Jordan exchanged glances with Rhea and Zara. In that moment of silent communication, they made their decision. "We need to interface with the Nexus Core," Zara said, her form already shifting in anticipation. "It's risky," Rhea added, "but it may be our only chance to defend against this invasion." Jordan nodded, his purpose evident in his stance. "Let's do it." The trio stepped forward, placing their hands on the crystalline surface of the Nexus Core. Energy surged through their bodies, and they gasped in unison as their forms began to change. Their physical structures became fluid, shifting between solid, liquid, and energy states. Their consciousness expanded, linking not only with each other, but with the entire progenitor network spread across the planet. Jordan felt his awareness extend to the upper atmosphere, where he sensed the approaching enemy fleet. Without hesitation, he focused his enhanced gravitational control, creating a series of spatial distortions around the planet. The attacking ship's sensors went haywire, their weapon systems disrupted by the fluctuating gravitational fields. Rhea's expanded sensory capabilities allowed her to perceive the enemy's movements with crystal clarity. She guided the Sindari defense forces with pinpoint accuracy, her mind processing tactical information at an unprecedented rate. Zara's adaptive abilities reached new heights as she interfaced directly with the planet's defense systems. She reconfigured shield generators and weapons platforms in real time, countering each new tactic employed by the invaders. As the battle raged above, Kalair and his team worked frantically to stabilize the Nexus Core. Energy surges rocked the underground complex, causing tremors that threatened to collapse the cavern system. In orbit, the attacking forces deployed a massive energy weapon, its power signature dwarfing anything the Sindari had encountered before. As the weapon charged, preparing to unleash devastation upon the planet, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara realized they needed to take drastic action. Using their connection to the Nexus Core, they initiated a process to temporarily ascend their physical forms. Their bodies dissolved into pure energy, their consciousness expanding beyond the confines of the planet. They reached out to the dormant orbital platforms hidden in the binary star system, awakening the ancient progenitor defense stations. The platforms hummed to life, unleashing a barrage of advanced weaponry that tore through the invaders' capital ships. The strain of maintaining their ascended state while controlling the planet's defenses took a severe toll on the trio. Their energy forms began to flicker and destabilize, threatening to dissipate entirely. Recognizing the danger, Kalair initiated an emergency protocol within the Nexus core. "Hold on," he shouted, his fingers flying over the holographic controls. "I'm bringing you back." As their consciousness was pulled back into corporeal form, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara witnessed the retreat of the attacking forces. The combined might of the reactivated progenitor technology and the Sindari defenses had proved too much for the invaders to overcome. They materialized in the chamber, their bodies forever altered by the experience. Their forms now appeared as a seamless blend of human, denobulan, and adaptoid characteristics, a living testament to their shared ordeal and evolving bond. Before they could fully process their transformation, urgent communications flooded in from the surface. The use of such powerful, ancient technology had triggered massive energy fluctuations across the planet, threatening to tear apart the very fabric of space-time in the star system. Jordan looked at his companions, their new hybrid features etched with concern and determination. "We've won the battle," he said, his voice carrying the weight of their shared responsibility. "But now we face an even greater challenge." As alarms blared and holographic displays filled with dire warnings, the trio steeled themselves for the task ahead. The fate of the Sindari civilization, and perhaps the entire sector, now rested in their hands. Hands trembled as they confronted the immense task before them. The energy surges from their encounter with the Nexus core continued to course through their bodies, their newly merged hybrid forms pulsating with power. Jordan raised his hand, intending to steady himself against a nearby console. Instead, the air around him shimmered, and the metal structure aged rapidly, its surface oxidizing and crumbling beneath his touch. He jerked back, startled by the unintended display of his amplified abilities. "This is overwhelming," he said, his voice wavering as he struggled to control the gravitational fields fluctuating around him. Rhea blinked rapidly, her eyes shifting colors as she processed multiple layers of sensory input. "I can see everything," she whispered, her gaze unfocused. Past, present, future, they're all blending together. Zara's form rippled and shifted, taking on the properties of the various materials in the chamber, her voice distorted as she spoke. "We need to stabilize ourselves quickly. Our transformations are accelerating." Kalair and his team worked feverishly at the control panels, their fingers flying over holographic displays as they attempted to contain the energy emanating from the Nexus core. Alarms blared throughout the complex, warning of the growing instability. "The energy waves are spreading across the planet," Kalair reported, his 4 eyes blinking in rapid succession. "We're receiving reports of widespread anomalies on the surface." As if to emphasize his point, the chamber shuddered. Holographic projections sprang to life, showing scenes from across the Sindari world. Massive plants erupted from the ground, their growth accelerated to alarming speeds. Weather patterns shifted erratically, with storms forming and dissipating in minutes. And most concerning of all, Sindari citizens writhed in pain as their bodies underwent spontaneous mutations. "We need to act now," Jordan said, forcing himself to focus despite the chaos swirling around him. "Kalair, what are our options?" The Sindari scientist's expression was grim as he replied, "We may be able to use the Nexus core to create a controlled energy field. It could potentially stabilize both the planet and your hybrid forms. But the process is risky. It would require you to interface with the core again." Rhea's eyes snapped into focus, her gaze intense as she processed the potential outcomes. "If we don't do something soon, the entire planet could be torn apart. We have to try." Before they could move toward the core, a holographic message flickered to life. Lyra's face appeared, her expression taut with worry. "Jordan, we have a bigger problem. The energy surges aren't just affecting the planet. They're destabilizing the binary stars. If we don't stop this soon, we could be looking at a premature supernova event." The gravity of the situation settled over the group like a physical weight. Jordan looked at Rhea and Zara, seeing his own grit reflected in their altered features. Without a word, they moved as one toward the Nexus core. As they approached the towering crystalline structure, its facets pulsed with an inner light that seemed to call to them. Jordan reached out, his fingers hovering just above the surface. Rhea and Zara flanked him, their bodies resonating with the core's energy. "Whatever happens," Jordan said, his voice low and intense, "we face it together." They pressed their hands against the core simultaneously. Energy surged through them, more potent than before. Their consciousness expanded, encompassing the entire planetary network of progenitor technology. Every power cell, every orbital platform, every piece of ancient tech hidden beneath the surface, they could feel it all. Through their expanded awareness, they sensed the chaos engulfing the planet. They guided the wild energy flows, shaping them into more stable patterns. Slowly, the erratic weather began to calm. The rapid plant growth halted. The uncontrolled mutations affecting the Sindari population stabilized. But as they worked to contain the energy surges, they encountered an unexpected development. The Nexus core began to draw power from their hybrid bodies, using their unique physiology as a catalyst for a planet-wide transformation. Buildings and natural formations across the planet's surface began to shift and reconfigure. Progenitor-inspired designs emerged, seamlessly blending with existing Sindari architecture. The entire civilization was being rapidly advanced, integrating the full potential of the ancient technology. In orbit, Lyra watched in awe as the planet below transformed. Her sensors screamed warnings as energy readings spiked beyond anything she had ever seen. The instability in the binary star system continued to worsen, forcing her to begin preparations for an emergency evacuation. Back in the chamber, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara found themselves at a crossroads. They had the power to complete the planet's metamorphosis, to create a world of unimaginable technological advancement. But the cost could be the destruction of the existing Sindari civilization and potentially the entire star system. As energy continued to surge through their merged forms, they felt their physical bodies begin to lose cohesion. The pull of transcendence beckoned, offering godlike power at the cost of their individual identities. In this moment of crisis, their deep bond became their anchor. Memories flashed through their collective consciousness. Their first meeting at the Interstellar Academy, their trials and triumphs, the growth of their relationship. This emotional connection helped them resist the lure of complete ascension, allowing them to maintain a tenuous grip on their individual selves. With time running out and the fate of an entire civilization hanging in the balance, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara steeled themselves for their final push. They had to find a way to stabilize the planet and the star system without losing themselves in the process. Jordan focused his enhanced gravitational control, attempting to create a bubble of stable space-time around the planet. Rhea extended her senses, guiding their efforts to counter the growing stellar instability. Zara's adaptive abilities worked overtime, constantly adjusting their merged form to channel the immense energy safely. As they pushed their newfound abilities to their limits, the chamber around them began to warp and shift. The very fabric of reality seemed to bend under the strain of their efforts. Kalair and his team watched in a mixture of awe and terror as Jordan, Rhea, and Zara's hybrid form began to glow with an intensity that rivaled the binary stars themselves. In this crucible of cosmic forces, the trio faced their greatest challenge yet. The outcome of their struggle would determine not only their own fate, but the future of the Sindari civilization, and potentially the course of evolution for the entire galaxy. The energy coursing through their merged form threatened to tear them apart. But in that moment of crisis, a shared realization crystallized within their collective consciousness. "We can't let this continue." Jordan's thoughts echoed through their mental link. "The cost is too high." Rhea's essence pulsed in agreement. "We must preserve what exists, not remake it in our image." Zara's adaptable nature provided the key. "We can reverse the flow." use our connection to halt the transformation. As one, they began to redirect the surging energies, drawing them back into the Nexus core. The process was agonizing, like trying to push back a tidal wave with sheer willpower. Slowly, the cascading changes across the planet began to slow, then stop, and finally start to recede. K-Layer, watching the energy readings on his monitors, shouted to his team, "They're doing it! Quickly, initialize the containment fields." The Sindari scientists sprang into action, activating a network of energy sinks designed to absorb the excess power. As they worked, the uncontrolled mutations affecting the population began to stabilize. Trees that had grown to impossible heights shrank back down, though they retained a faint luminescence. The planet's erratic weather patterns gradually calmed, leaving behind a sky painted with unfamiliar hues. Within the chamber, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara's merged form began to separate. It was a disconcerting sensation, like being pulled in 3 directions at once. Jordan felt the crushing weight of gravity as his body reformed. Rhea experienced a cacophony of sensory input as her nervous system recalibrated, and Zara cycled through a rapid series of partial transformations before settling. As they fully separated, all 3 collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. Jordan raised his hand, relieved to see it was once again his own, but something felt different. He focused on a piece of debris floating nearby, intending to pull it towards him. Instead, the object seemed to move in slow motion, as if caught in a bubble of dilated time. Rhea blinked rapidly, her vision swimming with ghostly images of potential futures. She saw K-Layer approach them seconds before he actually moved, the premonition fading as reality caught up. Zara flexed her fingers, feeling the potential to adapt humming just beneath her skin. With a thought, she could now selectively incorporate traits from her surroundings without losing herself in the process. "Are you all right?" K-Layer asked, helping them to their feet. "The energy levels are stabilizing, but there are residual effects." Before they could respond, a holographic message flickered to life. Lyra's face appeared, her expression a mix of relief and concern. "The stellar instability is receding," she reported, "but we're detecting something else. A massive fleet of ships just entered the system." Jordan exchanged glances with Rhea and Zara, seeing his own weariness and drive reflected in their eyes. "Can you identify them?" he asked. Lyra shook her head. "It's a mixed group, some familiar, some unknown. They're maintaining distance for now, but their arrival can't be a coincidence." K-Layer stepped forward, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he processed the information. "The High Council will want to meet immediately. We need to decide how to respond to this new development." Jordan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "We'll be there. But first, we need to understand exactly what's happened to us and this planet." As if in response to his words, a tremor ran through the facility. The walls of the chamber shifted, ancient patterns briefly glowing before fading back into the stone. Outside, they could hear the distant calls of animals that had never before existed on this world. "The Nexus core," Zara said, her voice filled with wonder and apprehension. "It's changed everything, hasn't it?" Rhea closed her eyes, focusing on her newfound ability to perceive quantum probabilities. "The future is in flux," she murmured. "Our actions here now will ripple across the galaxy." Jordan took a deep breath, centering himself as he grappled with his expanded control over gravity and time. "Then we'd better make sure we get it right. K-Layer, tell the Council we're on our way. It's time to face the consequences of what we've done and figure out where we go from here." As they made their way out of the chamber, each step felt like the beginning of a new journey. The crisis might have been averted, but the challenges ahead were just starting to take shape. The approaching fleet, their evolved abilities, and the transformed Sindari world all pointed to a future filled with unknown possibilities and potential dangers. Together, Jordan, Rhea, and Zara moved forward, their unique bond now forged in the fires of cosmic power. Whatever came next, they would face it as one, carrying with them the weight of their choices and the hope for a future they had fought so hard to preserve. The trio's determined stride towards the High Council chambers was interrupted by the sudden appearance of Lyra's hologram, her face etched with urgency. "Jordan, we have a situation," she said, her voice tight. "One of the ships from the incoming fleet has broken formation. It's approaching the planet at high speed." Jordan exchanged quick glances with Rhea and Zara. "Change of plans," he said. "Killer, we need to get to the Defense Control Center immediately." The Sindari scientist nodded, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly as he led them through a series of winding corridors. The group burst into a vast, circular room dominated by a massive holographic display of the planet and its surrounding space. The lone ship stood out against the backdrop of stars, its trajectory a blazing line aimed directly at the Sindari homeworld. As they watched, the vessel entered the planet's atmosphere, its hull glowing from the heat of re-entry. "Are the defense systems online?" Zara asked, her body subtly shifting as she adapted to the tense atmosphere of the control room. Before anyone could answer, a message crackled through the communication systems. The ship identified itself as a diplomatic envoy from a coalition called the Galactic Concordat, seeking peaceful contact. The Sindari leaders, who had gathered in the control center, erupted into heated discussion. Jordan could feel the subtle shifts in gravity as their agitation grew, a side effect of his newly enhanced abilities. "We should hear them out," Rhea said, her eyes unfocused as she sifted through potential futures. "I see more positive outcomes if we engage diplomatically." After a tense debate, the Sindari agreed to allow the ship to land in a designated area outside the capital city. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara volunteered to be part of the welcoming committee, their unique abilities making them ideal representatives for this first contact situation. As they made their way to the landing site, the alien ship touched down. Its hull shimmered and partially dematerialized, revealing a sleek ramp. A tall, graceful alien emerged, its form fluid and almost ethereal. "Greetings," the alien said, its voice melodious and androgynous. "I am Ambassador Nalara of the Galactic Concordat. We come in peace, seeking to understand the great energies that have emanated from your world." Jordan stepped forward, feeling the weight of humanity's first official extraterrestrial diplomatic contact on his shoulders. "I'm Jordan Chen, and these are my partners, Rhea and Zara. We welcome you to the Sindari homeworld." As Jordan spoke, he noticed Nalara's gaze lingering on him, a flicker of interest in her iridescent eyes. The initial meeting progressed smoothly, with Nalara explaining that the energy surges from the Sindari world had alerted numerous civilizations to the activation of progenitor technology. The Galactic Concordat was formed to investigate and potentially establish diplomatic relations with emerging technologically advanced civilizations, Nalara said. "Your world's recent evolution has captured our attention." As the discussion continued, Nalara requested a private audience with Jordan to discuss humanity's role in recent events. The Sindari leaders, seeing an opportunity to gather more information about the Galactic Concordat, agreed. Jordan and Nalara retreated to a secluded garden within the Sindari compound. As they walked among the alien flora, Jordan noticed subtle changes in Nalara's appearance. Her features were shifting, becoming more humanoid. "My species, the Morpheans, possess natural shape-shifting abilities," Nalara explained, noticing Jordan's surprise. "We can adapt our appearance to put other species at ease. I hope you don't mind." Jordan shook his head, fascinated by the transformation. "Not at all. It's remarkable." As they continued their walk, Nalara's questions became more personal, her interest in humans, and Jordan in particular evident. "Your species' adaptability is fascinating," she said, her now human-like eyes fixed on Jordan. We believe humans could play a crucial role in the galactic concordat. Would you consider serving as an ambassador for humanity? Jordan felt a pull of attraction towards Nalara, her form now strikingly beautiful by human standards. He was about to respond when he noticed the plants around them beginning to shift and change, growing at an accelerated rate. Before he could process this new development, Rhea and Zara appeared at the garden's entrance. Their expressions were a mix of concern and something else. Jealousy, perhaps? "Jordan," Rhea said, her voice tight. "We need to go. There's been a development." As if on cue, Kalair burst into the garden, his 4 eyes wide with urgency. "The fleet," he gasped. "They've increased speed. They'll reach the planet within hours. The High Council is calling for an emergency meeting." Jordan looked at Nalara, whose form was slowly reverting to its original state. "I'm sorry. We'll have to continue this later." As they rushed back to the council chambers, Jordan couldn't help but notice the subtle changes in their environment. Plants and small animals seemed to be evolving before his eyes, creating new hybrid species in their wake. Even the Sindari they passed showed minor physical alterations. They arrived at the council chambers to find the Sindari leaders in the midst of a heated debate. Some advocated for a show of force, using their newly enhanced technology, while others pushed for diplomatic engagement. Jordan, Rhea, Zara, and Nalara exchanged glances, the weight of the moment heavy upon them. They knew that their next actions would not only shape the future of the Sindari civilization, but potentially alter the balance of power in the galaxy. As the debate raged on, Jordan felt the pull of gravity shifting around him, a reflection of the tension in the room. Rhea's eyes darted back and forth, likely sifting through countless possible futures. Zara's form subtly shifted, adapting to the charged atmosphere. And in the midst of it all, Nalara stood, her alien presence a reminder of the vast, unknown galaxy that awaited them. The decisions they would make in the coming hours would test not only their newfound abilities, but also the strength of their bond. Jordan took a deep breath, centering himself as he prepared to address the council. The fate of worlds hung in the balance, and it was time to act. Jordan took a deep breath, centering himself as he prepared to address the council. The fate of worlds hung in the balance, and it was time to act. "We need a balanced approach," he said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "Let's activate our planetary defenses as a precaution, but also prepare a diplomatic welcome." The council members murmured among themselves, considering Jordan's proposal. As they debated, Rhea suddenly gasped, her eyes widening. She swayed on her feet, and Zara quickly moved to support her. Jordan excused himself from the council table and hurried to his companion's side. As he approached, the air around them seemed to thicken, time slowing to a crawl. The council members' movements became sluggish, their voices distorted and drawn out. "Rhea, what is it?" Jordan asked, his words sounding normal within their temporal bubble. Rhea blinked rapidly, her gaze unfocused. "I saw possibilities, so many outcomes. The fleet attacking, but also peace." Zara's form shimmered slightly, and suddenly Jordan felt a connection forming between the three of them. Thoughts and images flowed freely, allowing them to communicate rapidly and efficiently. "We need to prepare for both scenarios," Zara's voice echoed in their minds. "But we should lead with diplomacy." Jordan nodded, absorbing the insights from Rhea's visions and Zara's strategic thinking. As the time dilation effect faded, he returned to the council table with renewed purpose. "Esteemed council," Jordan addressed the Sindari leaders, "I propose we activate our planetary shields and ready our defenses, but also prepare a welcoming committee and broadcast messages of peace. We must be prepared for any outcome, but lead with an open hand rather than a closed fist." The Sindari leaders, impressed by the trio's unified approach, agreed to implement the plan. The chamber burst into activity as orders were relayed and preparations began. Outside, the lingering progenitor energy reacted to the heightened emotions and activities. The landscape began to transform before their eyes. Trees grew at an alarming rate, their branches intertwining to form natural barriers around the city. New species of animals emerged from the rapidly evolving ecosystem, some displaying characteristics that seemed almost designed to complement the planet's defenses. Ambassador Nalara approached Jordan, her form still partially shifted to resemble human features. "Your species continues to surprise me," she said, her voice carrying a hint of admiration. "The Galactic Concordat will be most interested in this development." Jordan felt a flutter of attraction as Nalara's alien, yet alluring gaze met his. He pushed the feeling aside, focusing on the task at hand. "We'll need your expertise in dealing with the incoming fleet," he said. "Will you join our welcoming committee?" Nalara nodded, her form shimmering slightly as she adjusted her appearance to be more diplomatic. "Of course, it would be my honor." The group made their way to the newly constructed landing platform on the outskirts of the capital city. The structure was a marvel of engineering, its surface shifting and reconfiguring to accommodate various types of vessels. As they waited, Jordan couldn't help but notice the increased frequency of glances between himself and Nalara. The air seemed to thicken with unspoken tension, and nearby plants bloomed with vibrant, sweet-smelling flowers in response to the emotional energy. Rhea and Zara exchanged knowing looks, their own bond palpable in the charged atmosphere. The complex web of emotions between the four of them added another layer of complexity to an already tense situation. Suddenly, the sky lit up with streaks of light. The first ships of the alien fleet breached the atmosphere, their hulls glowing from the heat of re-entry. The vessels, diverse in size and design, descended toward the landing platform with precision. Jordan felt the subtle shift in gravity as the Sindari defense systems tracked the ship's approach. The planetary shield shimmered, visible as a faint iridescent dome stretching across the sky. The lead ship touched down, its hull shimmering with what appeared to be advanced stealth technology. For a moment, all was still. Then, with a hiss of depressurization, a hatch opened. The alien delegation emerged, a diverse group of beings that defied easy categorization. Their leader, a tall figure with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement, stepped forward. Jordan, Rhea, Zara, and Nalara moved as one to meet the newcomers. They could feel the weight of history upon them, knowing that this moment would shape the future of galactic relations. The alien leader's multifaceted eyes scanned the welcoming committee, lingering on each of them in turn. When it spoke, its voice was a complex harmony of tones. "I am Zandrath, emissary of the Galactic Coalition," the being said, the words somehow understood despite the alien language. "We come seeking answers about the great energies that have emanated from this world." Jordan stepped forward, feeling the sole support of Rhea and Zara through their shared bond. He took a deep breath, acutely aware that his next words could determine the course of this encounter. "Emissary Zandrath," Jordan began, his voice steady despite the tension thrumming through his body. "On behalf of humanity, the Sindari people, and all inhabitants of this world, I welcome you in peace." As Jordan continued the formal greeting, he could sense the complex interplay of energies around them. The progenitor technology hummed beneath their feet. The evolved flora swayed in an unfelt breeze, and the assembled beings, human, Sindari, and alien alike, stood on the precipice of a new era in galactic history. The fate of worlds hung in the balance as Jordan prepared to explain the recent events that had transformed their planet and its inhabitants. The first words had been exchanged, but the true test of their newfound abilities and the strength of their unlikely alliance was just beginning. The true test of their newfound abilities and the strength of their unlikely alliance was just starting. As the alien delegation disembarked from their ship, Jordan stepped forward, his heart racing with anticipation. The leader of the group, a towering figure with iridescent skin that shimmered like oil on water, approached with measured steps. "I am Admiral Zorn of the Galactic Concordat," the being announced, its voice a harmonious blend of tones that seemed to resonate in Jordan's chest. Jordan swallowed, acutely aware of the weight of this moment. He extended his hand, a gesture so familiar, yet now laden with galactic significance. Jordan Chun, representing humanity and our allies, the Sindari. Admiral Zorn's multifaceted eyes studied Jordan's outstretched hand. For a moment that stretched like an eternity, Jordan wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. Then, with deliberate slowness, the Admiral extended its own appendage, a limb that seemed to shimmer and solidify as it moved, and grasped Jordan's hand. The contact sent a jolt through Jordan's system, not unpleasant but startling in its alliness. He felt the subtle shift of his time manipulation ability activating, the air around him thickening as if moving through syrup. Beside him, Rhea gasped softly, her eyes widening. Jordan recognized the telltale signs of her quantum perception kicking in. She leaned close to Zara, whispering urgently. Jordan couldn't make out the words, but he noticed a change in the air, a subtle shift in scent that seemed to ease the tension in his shoulders. As the introductions continued, Jordan became aware of the accelerated passage of time around the negotiation table. What felt like minutes to him clearly spanned hours for those outside their temporal bubble. They discussed the progenitor technology, the recent planetary changes, and the potential for cooperation between their civilizations. Throughout the talks, Jordan couldn't help but notice Nalara's gaze, repeatedly drawn to him. Her form seemed to flux subtly, taking on more human-like characteristics. The sight sent a flutter through his stomach, a mixture of attraction and fascination. As night fell, the successful negotiations culminated in a celebratory feast. The banquet hall was alive with bioluminescent plants pulsing in rhythm with the collective emotions of the gathered species. Jordan found himself seated between Nalara and a new alien dignitary, a female Centaurian named Lyra, whose 4 eyes sparkled with curiosity as she peppered him with questions about human culture. "Tell me, Jordan," Lyra said, her melodic voice carrying over the din of the feast, "do all humans possess abilities like yours?" Before Jordan could answer, a group of excited Sindari scientists approached their table. "Pardon the interruption," one of them said, antennae quivering with excitement, "but we've made a crucial discovery. The planetary transformations have revealed a hidden progenitor installation deep beneath the surface." Jordan exchanged glances with Rhea and Zara, a silent understanding passing between them. "We need to investigate this," he said, rising from his seat. "If I may," Nalara interjected, her form shimmering as she stood, "I would like to join this expedition. The Galactic Concordat has a vested interest in progenitor technology." Lyra's 4 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "As would I, if you'll have me. Centaurian sensor technology could prove useful in your exploration." Admiral Zorn, overhearing the exchange, approached their group. "A wise decision. I'll assign a team of our scientists to accompany you. This discovery could reshape our understanding of the galaxy." As they began preparations for the expedition, Jordan felt the complex web of emotions and attractions within their group intensify. Rhea and Zara stood close together, their hybrid physiologies seeming to resonate in harmony. Nalara's gaze lingered on Jordan, her form unconsciously mimicking more human features. Lyra buzzed with excitement, her sensor rays already scanning the ground beneath their feet. The underground progenitor installation awaited, promising revolutionary discoveries and potential power that could alter the course of galactic history. As Jordan checked his equipment one last time, he couldn't shake the feeling that this expedition would test more than just their scientific prowess. The intricate dance of diplomacy, attraction, and loyalty among their group added an extra layer of complexity to the challenges that lay ahead. With a deep breath, Jordan signaled to the others. "Is everyone ready?" he asked, his voice steady despite the anticipation coursing through him. At their nods of affirmation, He turned toward the entrance to the underground complex. Then let's see what secrets the progenitors left behind. For us. With those words, Jordan led the diverse group into the entrance of the underground complex. The descent into the progenitor installation was treacherous. Narrow passages and unstable caverns forced the team to rely on advanced Sindari excavation technology to forge a path. Jordan's time manipulation ability proved invaluable, allowing him to anticipate and prevent cave-ins before they occurred. As they navigated the winding tunnels, periodic tremors shook the ground beneath their feet. Loose rocks clattered down the walls, forcing the group to press against each other for safety. These tremors, Rhea said, her voice tight with concentration. They're increasing in frequency. The planetary transformations above are accelerating. Zara nodded, her body shimmering as it adapted to the changing environment. We need to move faster. The instability could cut off our exit. After what felt like hours of careful progress, the team emerged into a vast, hexagonal chamber. The sight before them was breathtaking. Dormant progenitor technology lined the walls, covered in a thin layer of dust that spoke of millennia of disuse. At the center of the chamber stood a towering crystalline structure, its complexity dwarfing even the Nexus core they had encountered before. As Jordan stepped closer to examine it, he felt a familiar shift in his perception. Time seemed to slow around him, but the crystal responded differently. It began to pulsate with energy, bathing the chamber in a soft blue glow. "Jordan," Nalara called out, her form now distinctly more human-like, "your ability is affecting the structure." Rhea's eyes widened as she focused her quantum perception on the pulsating crystal. "I can see it," she breathed. "Potential pathways. There's a safe way to activate this installation." Without hesitation, Zara stepped forward. Her body began to change, taking on crystalline properties that mirrored the central structure. "I can interface with it," she said, her voice resonating strangely. "Guide me, Rhea." Under Rhea's direction, Zara's crystalline fingers danced across the ancient control systems. The air crackled with energy as the facility's startup sequence initiated. A low hum filled the chamber, growing in intensity until it reverberated through their bodies. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet shifted. Lyra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly as her sensor arrays picked up the changes. "Something's happening on a massive scale," she reported. "The entire planet is responding to this activation." As if in response to her words, the walls of the chamber came alive with holographic displays. They showed the surface of the Sindari world transforming at an incredible rate. Massive underground roots spread like a web, stabilizing the planet's crust. New species of plants erupted from the soil, their growth visible even at this scale. "Extraordinary," Admiral Zorn murmured, his iridescent skin reflecting the blue glow of the crystal. "These plants. They're purifying the atmosphere and water at an unprecedented rate." Jordan tore his gaze away from the mesmerizing displays to focus on a newly revealed section of the chamber. "Over here," he called out. "I think we've found some kind of data repository." The team gathered around a series of crystalline pillars, each one pulsing with stored information. As they began to access the data, their eyes widened in astonishment. "This is genetic data," Nalara said, her voice filled with wonder. "Not just for one species, but for countless alien races across the galaxy." Lyra leaned in closer, her sensor arrays buzzing with activity, including early versions of humans, denobulans, and adaptoids. She turned to look at Zara, who was still interfaced with the central crystal. As Nalara delved deeper into the human genetic data, her body continued to shift. Her features became more defined, her skin taking on a warmer hue. She found herself moving closer to Jordan, drawn by a growing attraction she couldn't fully understand. Meanwhile, Lyra felt a strange sensation washing over her. The progenitor energy permeating the installation seemed to resonate with her Centaurian biology. She gasped as her natural empathic abilities suddenly amplified, allowing her to sense the emotions and intentions of everyone around her. "Rhea, Zara," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "I can feel your connection. It's beautiful." Before anyone could respond, the central crystal flared with intense light. A massive holographic interface materialized in the center of the chamber, revealing the true purpose of the installation. "It's a seed vault," Jordan breathed, his eyes wide with amazement. "A galactic seed vault, capable of regenerating entire ecosystems, even restoring extinct species." As the implications of this discovery sank in, the air around them began to shimmer. Microscopic progenitor nanobots released into the atmosphere, interacting with the installation's energy field. Jordan, Rhea, and Zara felt their hybrid physiologies reacting strongly to the heightened progenitor energy. Their abilities began to merge and evolve, allowing them to manipulate the facility's systems with unprecedented ease. Admiral Zorn watched this development with a mix of fascination and concern. "The power you three now wield," he said carefully, "it could shift the balance of the entire galaxy." Before anyone could respond, a violent tremor shook the installation. The central crystalline structure began to fracture, releasing pulses of energy that interfered with their communication devices and transportation systems. "We're cut off," Lyra reported, her sensor arrays going haywire. "The way back to the surface is blocked." As the team looked at each other, the reality of their situation sank in. They were trapped in an unstable, ancient facility, with only their evolving abilities and newfound alliances to rely on. The chamber around them continued to pulse with energy, a reminder of the incredible power and potential danger that surrounded them. Jordan took a deep breath, his mind racing with possible solutions. "All right," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "We need to find another way out. Let's split into teams and search for alternative exits. And be careful. There's no telling what other surprises this place might have in store for us." As the group began to organize themselves, the fractured crystal continued to emit pulses of energy, casting eerie shadows across the chamber. The race to escape the unstable installation had begun, with the fate of not just their team, but potentially the entire galaxy hanging in the balance. Balance. As Jordan opened his mouth to respond, a violent tremor rocked the chamber, more powerful than any before. The fractured crystal structure at the center of the room emitted an ominous groan, shards of crystalline material breaking off and clattering to the floor. "Everyone, brace yourselves," Jordan shouted, instinctively reaching out with his time manipulation ability. A shimmering field of slowed time enveloped the fracturing structure, the falling shards suspended in midair like a frozen waterfall of light. The immediate danger averted, Jordan felt sweat beading on his forehead from the effort of maintaining the field. "Nice work," Rhea said, her eyes darting around the chamber as her quantum perception kicked into overdrive. "But we need to move. This place is becoming increasingly unstable." Her gaze fixed on a previously unnoticed access panel near the floor. "There, I'm seeing a network of maintenance tunnels. It could be our way out." As the group hurried to the panel, Zara's body shimmered, her feet elongating into flipper-like appendages. "I'll scout ahead," she said, her voice taking on a slight gurgle. "The tunnels are partially flooded with some kind of bioluminescent fluid." Nalara stepped forward, her form shifting to create tools from her own biomass. "Allow me to assist with the panel," she said, deftly removing the cover to reveal a dimly lit passage beyond. Zara plunged into the viscous, glowing liquid that filled the tunnel, her newly adapted body propelling her effortlessly through the fluid. The rest of the team watched anxiously as she disappeared around a bend, the bioluminescence casting eerie shadows on the tunnel walls. Minutes later, Zara's voice crackled over their communicators. "The way ahead is clear, but there are several obstacles. I've managed to dislodge most of them, but you'll need to be careful. As the team prepared to enter the tunnel, Lyra's 4 eyes blinked rapidly, her sensor arrays buzzing. "Wait," she said, her voice tight with concentration. "I'm sensing dangerous energy buildup in several areas. We'll need to navigate carefully." With Lyra's empathic abilities guiding them, the group entered the flooded tunnel. The bioluminescent fluid lapped at their waists, its cool touch sending shivers through their bodies. Nalara took point, her Morpheon abilities allowing her to reshape her body into bridges and supports where needed. As they navigated a particularly treacherous section, Nalara extended her arm, forming a sturdy handhold for Jordan to grasp. Their hands connected, and a jolt of electricity seemed to pass between them. Jordan found himself acutely aware of Nalara's increasingly human-like features, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that made his heart race. The team pressed on, their progress slowed by the need to carefully maneuver around pockets of built-up energy that Lyra sensed. As they moved, a fine mist began to permeate the air around them. The released progenitor nanobots, now spreading to the complex, interacted with their biology in unexpected ways. Jordan felt a strange tingling sensation as his time manipulation ability expanded, allowing him to affect the rate of biological processes around him. Nearby, Rhea gasped as her quantum perception suddenly encompassed possible futures for the organic matter surrounding them. Zara, returning to check on their progress, found herself able to rapidly evolve new adaptations in response to the changing environment. Nalara's body continued its transformation, her Morpheon abilities now allowing her to incorporate specific genetic traits from the progenitor database she had accessed earlier. Her form settled into a striking hybrid of human and alien characteristics, drawing admiring glances from Jordan. As they neared what they hoped was the surface, Lyra suddenly clutched her head, overwhelmed by a flood of thoughts and emotions. I can't hear you," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Not just sense your emotions, but your thoughts. Rhea, Zara, we're connected." Before they could fully process this new development, the tunnel opened into a vast cavern. The space was filled with massive, bioluminescent plant life that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. The dense vegetation formed an almost impenetrable barrier between them and the surface. Jordan stepped forward, concentrating intensely. The plants nearest to them began to grow at an accelerated rate, their life cycles compressed into mere seconds. Leaves unfurled, flowers bloomed and withered, and seeds fell to sprout anew. Within moments, a path had formed through the vegetation. "Quickly," Jordan said, the strain evident in his voice. "I don't know how long I can maintain this." The team rushed to the opening, emerging onto the planet's surface just as Jordan's control faltered and the plants behind them returned to their original density. They found themselves standing on a hillside, overlooking a landscape that bore little resemblance to the Sindari world they had left behind. Towering hybrid plant structures dominated the horizon, their strange forms dwarfing even the tallest Sindari buildings. New species of animals, their bodies a chimeric blend of familiar and alien characteristics, roamed the altered terrain. The sky above was filled with swirling patterns of bioluminescence, reflecting the profound changes occurring across the planet. As they stood in awe of the transformed world, Admiral Zorn's voice crackled over their communicators. "Team, report your status. The situation up here is unprecedented. The entire planet is undergoing rapid transformation. We're establishing a quarantine perimeter to contain whatever is happening down there." Before anyone could respond, a series of bright flashes in the sky announced the arrival of new ships entering the system. Vessels of various designs and origins began to take up position around the planet, drawn by the activation of progenitor technology. Jordan exchanged glances with his companions, the weight of their responsibility settling heavily upon them. They had unlocked a power beyond their wildest imagination, and now they would have to face the consequences of their actions. "Admiral," Jordan replied, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them, "we're alive and on the surface. But we're going to need all the help we can get. The situation here is more complex than we could have anticipated." As Jordan spoke, a massive structure in the distance caught his eye. A Sindari government building, now partially overgrown with the new hybrid vegetation, stood as a stark reminder of the civilization they needed to protect. It would serve as a perfect location for a temporary command center. "We need to establish a base of operations," Jordan continued. "We'll head to the central government complex and coordinate our efforts from there. We'll need to brief you and the Sindari leadership on what we've discovered and assess the full scope of the situation," Jordan finished, his eyes scanning the transformed landscape. As the team made their way towards the government complex, the sky above them shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The bioluminescent patterns swirled and shifted, casting an eerie light over the altered terrain. Suddenly, an urgent message from the Sindari monitoring stations crackled through their communicators. "Update from surface monitoring," a tense voice announced. "The progenitor nanobots are coalescing into larger structures in the atmosphere. We're detecting the formation of floating islands." The team halted, their gazes drawn upward. True to the report, massive structures were taking shape high above them, swirling masses of nanobots knitting together into solid forms. As they watched, vegetation sprouted and grew at an accelerated rate, covering the newly formed islands in a riot of alien plant life. "Incredible," Rhea breathed, her quantum perception kicking into overdrive. "The complexity of these structures. It's like nothing I've ever seen." Jordan nodded, his mind racing. "We need to incorporate this into our briefing. The implications are staggering." As they approached the government complex, now partially engulfed by the hybrid vegetation, they could see ships from various alien civilizations taking up position in the planet's orbit. The activation of progenitor technology had drawn attention from across the galaxy, and representatives were already gathering to assess the situation. Inside the complex, Jordan and his team quickly set up a makeshift command center. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing real-time data on the planet's transformation. As the representatives of the Galactic Concordat and newly arrived alien civilizations filed in, tension filled the air. Jordan stepped forward to begin the briefing, his time manipulation ability at the ready. "Esteemed delegates," he began, "what you're about to see may challenge your understanding of reality." With a gesture, Jordan created a temporal field around a small area of the room. Within it, a miniature version of the floating islands began to form, compressed hours of growth playing out in minutes. The delegates watched in awe as nanobots coalesced. Plants sprouted and evolved, and small animals began to appear. Gasps and murmurs filled the room as the demonstration concluded. An avian delegate from the Cygnus Federation raised a wing. "The potential applications of this technology are limitless. We must have access to study it." Before Jordan could respond, Rhea tensed beside him. Her quantum perception had detected an anomaly. She leaned in close to Zara, whispering, "Security breach. Unauthorized observers near the east wall." Zara nodded imperceptibly, her body already beginning to shift. Her skin took on the texture and color of the nearby technology, allowing her to blend seamlessly with the surroundings as she moved to investigate. Meanwhile, Nalara stepped forward to address the genetic implications of the progenitor technology. As she spoke, her body subtly shifted, unconsciously mimicking traits from various species in the audience. Her hair took on a metallic sheen like the Andromedan delegate, while her skin developed a faint bioluminescence reminiscent of the Aquarian representatives. Jordan found himself captivated by Nalara's ever-changing form, his attraction to her intensifying. He forced himself to focus on the matter at hand, but couldn't help stealing glances at her throughout the presentation. Lyra, her empathic abilities now vastly enhanced, scanned the emotional landscape of the room. She sensed pockets of fear and hostility among certain factions, particularly those from resource-poor worlds who saw the progenitor technology as a threat to their economic stability. "If I may," Lyra interjected smoothly, her voice carrying a subtle harmonics that seemed to soothe the agitated delegates. "We understand the concerns many of you have. This technology represents a paradigm shift for our entire galaxy. That's why we propose a collaborative approach to studying and managing its effects." As Lyra spoke, Zara returned from her covert investigation. She discreetly informed Jordan of the unauthorized alien observers she had discovered attempting to collect nanobot samples. Jordan nodded, making a mental note to increase security measures. Admiral Zorn stepped forward, his expression grave. "In light of the unprecedented nature of this situation, the Galactic Concordat has decided to maintain a quarantine around the Sindari world until we can fully understand and control the effects of the progenitor technology." The announcement was met with immediate protest from several alien factions. A Vega Consortium representative stood up, mandibles clicking in agitation. "Unacceptable. You cannot hoard this discovery for yourselves." Jordan raised his hands, calling for calm. "We hear your concerns. That's why we're proposing the establishment of a joint research initiative. We'll create secure research outposts on the newly formed floating islands, allowing controlled access for scientific study." The proposal seemed to quell some of the unrest, but as Jordan and his team began to outline the details, new challenges emerged. Reports came in from the first attempts to establish a research outpost on one of the floating islands. "The ecosystem is resisting our efforts," a harried scientist reported via hologram. "The plants and animals are exhibiting signs of collective intelligence, actively adapting to repel our technology." Jordan exchanged glances with Rhea and Zara. "We'll handle this personally," he said, already formulating a plan. As they prepared to depart for the floating island, Nalara approached Jordan. "I've been analyzing the genetic data we've gathered," she said, her form still shifting subtly. "The rate of mutation and adaptation is unlike anything I've ever seen. We may need to consider more immersive methods of study." Jordan nodded, a mix of excitement and apprehension coursing through him. As they boarded a shuttle to the floating island, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of a discovery that would change the course of galactic history. The transformed Sindari world spread out beneath them, a testament to the power they had unleashed and the responsibility that now rested on their shoulders. As the team prepared to depart for the floating island, a tense debate erupted among the gathered delegates. "This technology is too dangerous to be left unchecked," argued a representative from the Vega Consortium. "We demand more direct involvement in its study and control." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room, but Jordan held his ground. "I understand your concerns, but we can't risk uncontrolled exposure. We need a compromise." After hours of intense negotiation, a modified plan emerged. A specially designed containment chamber would be constructed on one of the floating islands, allowing for controlled nanobot exposure under strict monitoring. As the chamber neared completion, Jordan gathered his team. "This is our best chance to understand what's happening," he said, his eyes lingering on Nalara's ever-shifting form. "But the risks are significant. Is everyone prepared?" Rhea nodded, her quantum perception already buzzing with anticipation. "We need to do this. The potential knowledge we could gain is immeasurable." Zara's body rippled with tension, but she voiced her agreement. "I'm ready. My adaptive abilities should give us an edge if things go wrong." Lyra placed a hand on Jordan's arm, her enhanced empathy sensing his underlying anxiety. "We're in this together. Our combined abilities give us the best chance of success." Nalara stepped forward, her form settling into a hybrid of human and Sindari features. Let's do this. Whatever happens, we face it as one. The team entered the containment chamber, a sleek biomechanical structure that pulsed with energy. Admiral Zorn's voice crackled over the comm system, initiating nanobot release in 3, 2, 1. A shimmering mist filled the chamber. Jordan felt a tingling sensation across his skin as the nanobots made contact. Suddenly, his perception of time fractured. He saw multiple timelines branching out before him, each one a potential future unfolding at different speeds. Rhea gasped, her eyes widening. The complexity. It's beyond anything I've ever perceived. Her consciousness expanded, encompassing the intricate web of interactions between the nanobots and the planet's ecosystem. Zara's body began to shift rapidly, cycling through a dizzying array of forms. Each iteration seemed perfectly adapted to interface with different aspects of the progenitor technology. Nalara's transformation was the most dramatic. Her body became a living conduit between organic and inorganic matter. Veins of shimmering metal threaded through her skin, while plant-like structures bloomed and withered in cycles across her form. Lyra stumbled, overwhelmed by the sudden influx of sensory input. I can feel the planet. Its consciousness. It's trying to communicate. As the team's abilities expanded and evolved, the containment chamber began to strain under the pressure of the concentrated nanobot activity. The walls warped and pulsed, merging with the biomechanical entities that were rapidly forming within. System overload. Admiral Zorn's voice cut through the chaos. We're initiating emergency shutdown procedures. You need to evacuate immediately. But it was too late. The team's bodies had undergone too many changes. They were unable to pass through the chamber's exit protocols. Jordan focused his newfound abilities, creating a temporal barrier around the chamber. Outside, they could see swarms of flying biomechanical creatures converging on their location, slowed to a crawl by Jordan's time manipulation. Zara, can you adapt the chamber's structure? Rhea called out, her expanded perception guiding the shapeshifter's efforts. Zara nodded, her body merging with the chamber walls. She reinforced weak points and created new defensive structures, holding back the encroaching swarms. Nalara reached out, her new form allowing her to interface directly with the planet's neural network. I'm attempting to communicate with the planetary consciousness, she said, her voice resonating with otherworldly harmonics. Lyra joined her efforts, projecting waves of empathic energy outward. I'm trying to convey our intentions, to show that we're not a threat. As the standoff continued, the team's exposure to the nanobots reached a critical threshold. Jordan felt his consciousness expanding, merging with the others. Their individual forms blurred, coalescing into a single, gestalt entity of unprecedented power and perception. Through this new, collective consciousness, they interfaced directly with the planetary neural network. Vast streams of information flowed through them, revealing the true nature and purpose of the progenitor technology. It's a galactic evolutionary system, the Gestalt entity realized. The Sindari world is one of many incubator planets, meant to guide compatible species towards a higher state of existence. With this newfound understanding, the team exerted control over the planetary transformation. They initiated a stabilization process, bringing the rapid evolution into a manageable equilibrium. The biomechanical swarms surrounding the chamber dispersed, reintegrating harmoniously with the planet's ecosystem. As the immediate crisis subsided, the Gestalt consciousness began to separate. Jordan, Rhea, Zara, Nalara, and Lyra emerged as individuals once more, but permanently altered. Their bodies now existed as unique blends of their original forms and progenitor-influenced adaptations. The chamber walls retracted, revealing a transformed landscape. Floating islands teemed with new life forms, while the skies shimmered with bioluminescent patterns. Admiral Zorn and a team of scientists approached cautiously, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. Jordan stepped forward, his body now a striking fusion of human and alien characteristics. "Admiral," he said, his voice carrying new depths of authority and understanding. "We have much to discuss. The future of not just the Sindari world, but the entire galaxy has been irrevocably changed." As the implications of their experience began to sink in, Jordan felt a newfound connection to Nalara. Their transformed bodies seemed to resonate on a molecular level, drawing them together. He reached out, taking her hand, marveling at the way their altered physiologies intertwined. The team exchanged glances, each aware of the profound responsibilities now resting on their shoulders. They had unlocked the secrets of the progenitor technology, but the challenge of managing its integration across multiple worlds was only beginning. Outside the chamber, representatives from various alien civilizations were already gathering, demanding access to the transformative power they had witnessed. The Galactic Concordat would need to act quickly to maintain order and control the distribution of this evolutionary tool. As Jordan prepared to address the assembled delegates, he felt the weight of the galaxy's future settling upon him. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with political, ethical, and personal challenges. But with his team by his side, their abilities enhanced, and their bond strengthened, he knew they were ready to face whatever came next. As Jordan prepared to address the assembled delegates, a team of Galactic Concordat officials approached, their expressions a mix of awe and concern. "We need to establish a temporary quarantine," Admiral Zorn announced, his voice firm but understanding. "For your safety and ours, we must study the long-term effects of your exposure to the concentrated progenitor nanobots." Jordan nodded, recognizing the necessity of the precaution. He turned to his team. Their altered forms a testament to the profound changes they had undergone. "It seems we have more to learn about our new abilities," he said, his voice resonating with newfound depth. The group was escorted to a specially designed facility on the outskirts of the transformed Sindari world. As they settled into their new surroundings, the implications of their altered physiology became increasingly apparent. Jordan found himself drawn to Nalara, their bodies seeming to resonate on a molecular level. During a quiet moment in the facility's garden, he reached out to touch her hand. A spark of energy passed between them, sending a shiver of pleasure through his transformed nervous system. "This connection," Nalara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's unlike anything I've ever experienced." Their intimate encounters intensified over the following days, each touch and caress amplified by their altered senses. As they explored the new sensations granted by their transformation, Jordan marveled at the intricate patterns that danced across Nalara's skin, a physical manifestation of their deepening bond. Meanwhile, Rhea and Zara immersed themselves in their work, determined to find a way to safely harness the power of the progenitor technology. Their efforts bore fruit as they developed a series of specialized nanobots capable of initiating controlled evolutionary changes. "We've done it!" Rhea exclaimed, her quantum-enhanced mind processing vast amounts of data. "These nanobots can introduce limited changes without risking full-scale planetary transformation." Zara nodded, her form shifting subtly as she interfaced with their creation. "The potential applications are staggering. We could address resource scarcity, environmental degradation, even extend lifespans." As news of their breakthrough spread, representatives from various alien civilizations clamored for access to the technology. Lyra found herself at the center of intense negotiations, her enhanced empathic abilities allowing her to navigate the complex web of competing interests. During a particularly heated debate, Lyra placed her hand on the shoulder of an agitated Vega Consortium delegate. The alien's mandibles stilled as a wave of calm washed over him. "I understand your concerns," Lyra said, her voice carrying subtle harmonics that seemed to resonate with the gathered diplomats. "Let me show you the potential benefits of controlled evolution." using her newfound connection to the planetary consciousness. Lyra projected a series of vivid images, showcasing the positive changes that could be achieved through carefully managed nanobot deployment. The delegates watched in awe as barren worlds bloomed with life, and struggling species adapted to thrive in challenging environments. However, not everyone welcomed the promise of evolutionary advancement. A group of extremists, united in their opposition to the spread of progenitor technology, launched a series of attacks on research facilities and diplomatic gatherings. During one such assault on the quarantine facility, Jordan's time manipulation abilities proved crucial. As a barrage of plasma bolts streaked towards their position, he created a temporal barrier, slowing the projectiles to a crawl. "Zara," he called out. "We need a defense perimeter now." Zara's body flowed like liquid metal, forming a protective shield around the team. Rhea's quantum perception allowed her to predict the attacker's movements, guiding Zara's defensive efforts with pinpoint accuracy. As the threat intensified, Admiral Zorn assigned a special security detail to protect the team. Despite the added security, several kidnapping attempts were made, each thwarted by the group's unique abilities working in concert. The constant danger drew Jordan and Nalara closer. During a rare moment of respite, they found themselves alone in the facility's observation dome. The transformed Sindari world stretched out before them, a testament to the power they now wielded. "Jordan," Nalara said, her form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns. "I've been thinking about the future of this technology. About our future." He turned to her, sensing the weight of her words. "What do you mean?" "We've only scratched the surface of what the progenitor nanobots can do," she explained, her eyes meeting his. "I believe we should undergo a second, more controlled exposure. Push the boundaries of our transformation even further." Jordan's pulse quickened at the suggestion. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Before he could respond, an alarm blared throughout the facility. Unusual energy readings detected in nearby star systems. Rhea's voice came over the intercom, similar to the initial activation on the Sindari world. "We need to assemble immediately." As Jordan and Nalara rushed to join their teammates, the implications of this new development hung heavy in the air. The decision they faced would shape not only their own destinies, but the future of galactic evolution itself. As Jordan prepared to address the assembled delegates, his mind raced with the implications of their recent discoveries. The weight of responsibility settled heavily upon his shoulders, but a new sense of purpose burned within him. He exchanged a meaningful glance with Nalara, their shared experiences forging an unspoken bond. Before Jordan could speak, Admiral Zorn stepped forward, his face etched with concern. "We need to establish a temporary quarantine," he announced, his voice firm yet understanding. "For everyone's safety, we must study the long-term effects of your exposure to the concentrated progenitor nanobots." Jordan nodded, recognizing the wisdom in this precaution. He turned to his team. Their altered forms a testament to the profound changes they had undergone. "It seems we have more to learn about our new abilities," he said, his voice resonating with newfound depth. The group was escorted to a specially designed facility on the outskirts of the transformed Sindari world. As they settled into their new surroundings, the full extent of their altered physiologies became increasingly apparent. In the days that followed, Jordan found himself drawn to Nalara with an intensity that surpassed mere physical attraction. Their bodies seemed to resonate on a molecular level, each touch sending ripples of energy cascading through their transformed nervous systems. During a quiet moment in the facility's garden, Jordan reached out to touch Nalara's hand. A spark of energy passed between them, eliciting a gasp of pleasure from both. "This connection," Nalara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "It's unlike anything I've ever experienced." As they explored the new sensations granted by their transformation, Jordan marveled at the intricate patterns that danced across Nalara's skin, a physical manifestation of their deepening bond. Meanwhile, Rhea and Zara immerse themselves in their work, determined to find a way to safely harness the power of the progenitor technology. Their efforts bore fruit as they developed a series of specialized nanobots capable of initiating controlled evolutionary changes. "We've done it!" Rhea exclaimed one evening, her quantum-enhanced mind processing vast amounts of data. These nanobots can introduce limited changes without risking full-scale planetary transformation. Zara nodded, her form shifting subtly as she interfaced with their creation. The potential applications are staggering. We could address resource scarcity, environmental degradation, even extend lifespans. As news of their breakthrough spread, representatives from various alien civilizations clamored for access to the technology. Lyra found herself at the center of intense negotiations, her enhanced empathic abilities allowing her to navigate the complex web of competing interests. However, not everyone welcomed the promise of evolutionary advancement. A group of extremists, united in their opposition to the spread of progenitor technology, launched a series of attacks on research facilities and diplomatic gatherings. During one such assault on the quarantine facility, Jordan's time manipulation abilities proved crucial. As a barrage of plasma bolts streaked towards their position, he created a temporal barrier, slowing the projectiles to a crawl. "Zara," he called out. "We need a defense perimeter now." Zara's body flowed like liquid metal, forming a protective shield around the team. Rhea's quantum perception allowed her to predict the attacker's movements, guiding Zara's defensive efforts with pinpoint accuracy. As the danger intensified, Jordan and Nalara found themselves drawn even closer. During a rare moment of respite, they stood alone in the facility's observation dome, gazing out at the transformed Sindari world stretching before them. "Jordan," Nalara said, her form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, "I've been thinking about the future of this technology. About our future." He turned to her, sensing the weight of her words. "What do you mean?" "We've only scratched the surface of what the progenitor nanobots can do," she explained, her eyes meeting his. "I believe we should undergo a second, more controlled exposure. Push the boundaries of our transformation even further." Jordan's pulse quickened at the suggestion. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Before he could respond, an alarm blared throughout the facility. Unusual energy readings detected in nearby star systems. Rhea's voice came over the intercom, similar to the initial activation on the Sindari world. "We need to assemble immediately." As they rushed to join their teammates, Jordan and Nalara exchanged a look of perseverance. The decision they faced would shape not only their own destinies, but the future of galactic evolution. In the command center, holographic displays flickered to life, showing a map of the affected star systems. Admiral Zorn's face appeared on the main screen, his expression grave. "We're detecting multiple progenitor installations powering up across several sectors. We need a solution, and we need it fast." Jordan stepped forward, his mind made up. "Nalara and I have a proposal," he announced, his voice steady. "We believe a second, controlled exposure to the concentrated nanobots might unlock the full potential of our abilities. It could give us the power we need to address this crisis." The room fell silent as the implications of his words sank in. Rhea was the first to speak, her voice tinged with concern. "The risks are enormous. We have no way of predicting the outcome of such an experiment." Zara nodded in agreement. The energy levels involved could be catastrophic if not properly contained. Lyra closed her eyes, reaching out with her empathic senses. "I can feel your perseverance," she said softly. "But I also sense your fear. This is not a decision to be made lightly." Admiral Zorn's voice cut through the tension. "Time is of the essence. If you truly believe this is our best option, then proceed with caution. But know that the consequences of failure could be dire." With the reluctant agreement of their teammates, Jordan and Nalara began preparations for the experimental procedure. A new, more advanced containment chamber was hastily constructed, designed to withstand the intense energies they anticipated. As Jordan and Alara stood at the entrance to the chamber, they clasped hands, their bodies already resonating in anticipation of what was to come. "Whatever happens," Nalara whispered, "we face it together." Jordan nodded, squeezing her hand. "Together," he echoed. They stepped into the chamber, the door sealing behind them with a hiss of compressed air. As the concentrated nanobot solution was introduced, Jordan felt a tingling sensation spread throughout his body. He turned to Nalara, watching in awe as her form began to shimmer and blur. Their physical bodies started to merge, the boundaries between them becoming indistinct. Jordan's consciousness expanded, intertwining with Nalara's in a dizzying fusion of thoughts and sensations. Outside the chamber, Rhea, Zara, and Lyra worked frantically to monitor and stabilize the process. Alarms blared as energy readings spiked off the charts. "Energy pulse detected," Rhea shouted, her fingers flying over the control panel. "It's interfacing with the planetary neural network." Zara's body flowed across the chamber's exterior, reinforcing weak points as the structure groaned under the strain. "We're losing containment. I can't hold it much longer." Lyra pressed her hands against the chamber wall, her face contorted in concentration. "Their minds are merging too quickly. I'm trying to stabilize their mental states, but the feedback is overwhelming." Inside the chamber, the Jordan-Alara entity achieved a state of transcendent awareness. Their combined consciousness expanded beyond the confines of their physical form, tapping directly into the vast progenitor network that spanned the galaxy. In that moment of connection, they understood the true scope and purpose of the progenitor technology. It was more than just an evolutionary tool. It was a galactic failsafe, designed to guide compatible species towards a higher state of existence. With this newfound understanding came a surge of power. The merged entity began to exert control over the activated progenitor systems, working to stabilize the evolutionary processes on the affected worlds. But the strain of this galaxy-wide intervention was immense. The containment chamber crackled with energy, hairline fractures spreading across its surface. "We need to separate them now," Rhea yelled, her calculations projecting a catastrophic failure within minutes. "If we don't, we risk losing them both." Zara reconfigured the chamber systems, initiating the separation process. Lyra poured all her empathic strength into guiding Jordan and Alara's consciousness back towards individuality. The procedure was agonizing. Jordan felt as if he was being torn apart, his very essence unraveling. Flashes of shared memories and emotions bombarded him. Nalara's childhood on her homeworld, the wonder of her first shape-shifting experience, the depth of her feelings for him. As the separation neared completion, a final surge of energy erupted from the chamber. This pulse traveled through the progenitor network, permanently altering its underlying protocols. The changes implemented a new system for controlled, gradual introduction of progenitor technology to compatible worlds, preventing future uncontrolled activations. The chamber door hissed open, filling the room with a cloud of ionized particles. As the mist cleared, Jordan and Nalara emerged, leaning on each other for support. Their bodies had undergone further changes, incorporating even more advanced progenitor characteristics. Jordan looked down at his hands, marveling at the intricate, circuit-like patterns that now adorned his skin. He turned to Nalara, seeing the same changes reflected in her form. "Did it work?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Rhea nodded, her expression a mix of relief and awe. "The crisis has been averted. The activated systems are shutting down across the affected worlds." Before they could fully process the implications of their actions, a priority communication alert flashed on the main screen. Admiral Zorn's face appeared, his eyes wide with excitement. "We've just received a transmission from a distant sector of the galaxy," he announced. coordinates for what appears to be the location of the original progenitor homeworld. This could be the key to understanding everything. Jordan and Nalara exchanged a look, feeling the weight of their newfound power and the responsibility that came with it. The journey to uncover the true origins of the progenitor technology and their own transformed existence was just beginning. The journey to uncover the true origins of the progenitor technology and their own transformed existence was just the start of a new chapter in their lives. As the team began preparations for their expedition to the progenitor homeworld, Jordan and Nalara found themselves drawn to each other with an intensity that surpassed their previous connection. Their shared experience of fusion had left an indelible mark on their psyches, creating a bond that transcended physical boundaries. During a quiet moment in the ship's observation deck, Jordan reached out to touch Nalara's hand. The instant their skin made contact, a surge of information passed between them. Images, emotions, and thoughts flowed freely, as if their minds had become intertwined. "Nalara," Jordan gasped, his eyes wide with wonder. "I can feel your thoughts, your emotions. It's like we're still connected somehow." She nodded, her form shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that mirrored his own. "It's extraordinary. Our fusion seems to have left us with a permanent telepathic link." As they explored this newfound ability, they discovered they could communicate without words, anticipating each other's needs and actions with uncanny precision. This intimate connection proved invaluable as they led the expedition into uncharted space. The journey to the progenitor homeworld was fraught with challenges that tested the limits of their enhanced abilities. As their ship navigated through a field of gravitational anomalies, Jordan's time manipulation powers allowed him to create temporal bubbles around the vessel, protecting it from the warped space-time. "Gravitational shear increasing," Rhea called out, her quantum-enhanced mind processing vast amounts of data. "We're approaching a temporal distortion zone." Jordan closed his eyes, concentrating on the fabric of time around them. He extended his awareness, feeling the ebb and flow of temporal currents. With a gesture, he created a protective field around the ship, allowing it to slip through the distortions unscathed. Meanwhile, Nalara's evolved Morpheon physiology enabled her to interface directly with the ship's systems. Her body flowed like liquid metal, merging with the control panels. She became one with the vessel, enhancing its performance and adapting its structure to withstand the intense pressures of their journey. As they ventured deeper into unexplored space, they encountered swarms of ancient defensive nanobots, relics of the progenitor's distant past. The microscopic machines swarmed around their ship, attempting to dismantle its hull. Zara sprang into action, her adaptive abilities allowing her to create a countermeasure. Her body extruded a fine mist of reprogrammed nanobots, enveloping the ship in a protective cloud that neutralized the threat. After weeks of navigating through treacherous space, they finally approached their destination. Rhea's quantum perception detected a massive energy barrier surrounding a star system. "It's incredible," she breathed, her eyes scanning holographic displays. "The barrier seems to be adapting to our presence, shifting its energy signature to prevent access." Zara stepped forward, her form rippling with nearly unleashed energy. "I might be able to create an opening. If I can mimic the energy signature of progenitor technology, we may be able to slip through." As Zara worked to breach the barrier, Jordan and Nalara stood at the helm, their minds linked in perfect synchronicity. They guided the ship through the temporary opening, their combined skills allowing for precise navigation through the fluctuating energy field. As they passed through the barrier, a breathtaking sight greeted them. Before them lay not a planet, but a massive Dyson sphere encompassing an entire star. The inner surface of the sphere was a tapestry of diverse ecosystems, each one a testament to the progenitor's mastery of evolutionary manipulation. "By the stars," Lyra whispered, her empathic senses overwhelmed by the sheer scale of life and energy surrounding them. As they approached the surface of the Dyson sphere, autonomous progenitor guardians rose to meet them. These biomechanical entities, shimmering with an otherworldly light, scanned the team's evolved physiology. After a tense moment, the Guardians parted, granting them access to a landing zone near what appeared to be a central control hub. As the team disembarked, Jordan and Nalara took the lead, their bodies resonating with the surrounding progenitor technology. Inside the hub, they discovered an interactive holographic interface that pulsed with energy. Jordan and Nalara exchanged a look, their telepathic bond conveying volumes of unspoken communication. Together, they reached out and touched the interface. The moment their hands made contact, a surge of energy coursed through their bodies. Jordan felt his consciousness expanding, merging not just with Nalara's, but with Rhea, Zara, and Lyra as well. Their individual forms began to blur and coalesce, drawn together by an irresistible force. "What's happening?" Rhea's voice echoed in their shared mind, a mixture of fear and exhilaration. "We're becoming something new," Zara's thoughts replied, her adaptive nature embracing the change. As their bodies merged, a new entity emerged, a luminous being that embodied the perfect fusion of human, alien, and progenitor characteristics. This unified consciousness interfaced directly with the Dyson Sphere systems, accessing the complete history of the progenitors and their grand plan for galactic evolution. Images and information flooded their shared mind. They saw the progenitors not as a single species, but as a collective of advanced civilizations. They witnessed the creation of the evolutionary system, designed to guide life throughout the galaxy towards a state of harmonious coexistence and shared consciousness. With this newfound understanding, the fused entity realized the true purpose of their journey. They were the culmination of the progenitors' eons-long process, the key to unlocking the next stage of galactic evolution. As this realization settled into their collective consciousness, the entity began to initiate a galaxy-wide activation of dormant progenitor systems. Unlike the earlier crisis, this activation was controlled and gradual, guided by the wisdom and experience of the merged team. Their shared mind extended across the galactic network, touching the consciousness of countless species. They shared the vision of unity and collective growth that the progenitors had intended, inviting all sentient beings to participate in this new era of evolution. As the process unfolded, the fused being became aware of a crucial truth. Maintaining this form indefinitely would deprive the galaxy of the unique perspectives and experiences that individual species bring. In a moment of profound understanding, they knew what had to be done. The luminous entity began to divide, separating back into 5 distinct forms. Jordan, Nalara, Rhea, Zara, and Lyra reemerged as individuals, but forever changed by their shared experience. Their bodies now represented the perfect synthesis of their original forms and progenitor technology, allowing them to serve as living conduits for the continued, controlled spread of evolutionary advancements. As they stood together in the control hub, their bodies still shimmering with residual energy, Jordan turned to Nalara. Their eyes met, conveying a depth of understanding that went beyond words. "We've only just begun," Nalara said, her voice filled with wonder and purpose. Jordan nodded, feeling the weight of their newfound role as guardians of galactic evolution. "Together," he replied, "we'll guide the galaxy into a new era." The team gathered around, their enhanced forms resonating in harmony with the progenitor technology surrounding them. As they prepared to face the challenges ahead, they knew that their greatest adventure and their deepest connection was only just beginning.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.